Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's 6 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk. Brian Wilson in the chair on Thursday, May 16th. We are so lucky today. What a wonderful day it is. But we had beautiful springtime weather, 78 degrees today. I don't think we have any showers or problems like that today to deal with. Just a nice day to enjoy the beautiful weather, and we hope that you will do that. Let's get you home safely. In the meantime, I want to start with a story, and I'm going to apologize in advance. Please forgive me. It's very rare that I'm going to play a clip for you that goes 5 minutes. I know. I mean, Chris just raised his eyebrows. What? You're going to do what? It goes against all convention in radio because a lot of people believe you don't have an attention span that will last 5 minutes. But I believe that you can stick with me on this. All right? Please do. This has to do with the Trump trial in New York. And it has to do with the comments made by a guy named Robert Costello, who says, number one, that he used to work for Michael Cohen, the star witness of the prosecution. He has been released from his responsibilities as his attorney. His client privilege has been released, and he's now talking. And he says two things. Number one, he says that he believes that Michael Cohen has perjured himself in testimony during this trial. Number two, and I think this is the really sort of revealing part, he gives us a look into what happened in the grand jury room when Alvin Bragg was bringing the charges, trying to get the indictment against Donald Trump. He was a witness in that room, and you're not going to believe the stuff that was going on. He had what is known as exculpatory information, and it seems as if Alvin Bragg was bound and determined to keep that from the grand jury. So here, if you'll just bear with me, Robert Costello, former attorney to Michael Cohen, he's been released from his attorney-client privilege, and he's now speaking out about the process. This was on Fox News earlier today, and it goes about 5 minutes, but I think you'll be riveted.
Cohen told you, I swear to God, Bob, I don't have anything on Donald Trump. Now, you testified before Alvin Bragg's grand jury. Did you tell them what you told Congress yesterday?
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because before I testified on a Monday before the grand jury, I gave Alvin Bragg's assistant DAs the courtesy of about an hour and a half Zoom conference where I told them all of the exculpatory material that I had that they were supposed to put before the grand jury. But when I appeared before the grand jury, they were asking me questions that, in my opinion, and I've been a federal prosecutor myself, I was deputy chief of the criminal division in the Southern District of New York. Those questions they were asking me were not going to elicit the exculpatory information that I had. So I began to expand upon my answers, and the DA's office was trying to shut me down, saying that I had finished my answer. And I told them that when I'm in the middle of answering a question, I'll decide when I've finished my answer. And I asked them not to interrupt me again. But basically, they only put in a small cherry-picked group of emails. I presented maybe 200 to 300 emails and text messages to them. I had them with me, luckily, in chronological order. They put 2 or 3 into evidence. I asked them, are you going to put the rest of them into evidence? And they said no. And I said, remember, there's a court reporter there. I said, why not? They said, there's a legal issue with him. I said, what's the legal issue? And he said, hearsay. Now, first of all, hearsay is admissible in the grand jury, so that's really not an objection. But I played along with him, and I said, hearsay? Well, then pay close attention to the next 2 sentences. I said, these documents were made in the regular course of business, and it was the regular course of business to make and maintain documents such as these at or about the dates indicated. I said, now you know, and I know, but the grand jurors don't know, that makes these documents business records. And you know, and I know, but the grand jurors don't know, that business records are an exception to the hearsay rule. So are you going to put the rest of the documents into evidence? And they indicated most likely no. So I simply said to the grand jurors, I said, you people should demand these documents. You should demand to see everything in chronological order so you get a real view of what Michael Cohen was like in those days at that moment in time. I said, and then ask yourself this question. Why are they trying to keep these documents from me? Well, after that, I left the grand jury. I have no idea whether they put the documents into evidence or what happened, but subsequently, Donald Trump was indicted. And you've seen the fruits of that indictment in this trial, which is a trial about something that's not a crime. When I met with Michael Cohen on the first day at the Regency Hotel when he was suicidal by his own admission, I explained to him non-disclosure agreements, NDAs as he was calling them, I said are perfectly legal because he kept on saying, why are they trying to put me in jail for an NDA? And I explained to him, that's not why they're trying to put you in jail. Obviously, they think you've done other things. What are they? He denied having done anything else. I didn't do anything illegal. I'm cooperating with the special counsel. I'm cooperating with Congress. Of course, he forgot to tell us that he lied to Congress. But he was desperately seeking, according to his own words, an escape route. I want you guys to tell me how I can get out of this, because he saw these enormous legal problems coming his way. They were so bad in his mind that he was willing to kill himself. And so I kept on going back and suggesting to him, listen, Michael, if you have something truthful on Donald Trump, now is the time to cooperate. And he kept on saying over and over again, 10 to 20 times, I swear to God, Bob, I don't have anything on Donald Trump. I even said to him, Michael, think about this. Isn't it easier to cooperate against Donald Trump if you have truthful information than it is to kill yourself? Well, the answer is obvious. That was his moment in time. If he had something truthful to say, I'm willing to cooperate. But he didn't take that. He kept on saying, I have nothing on Donald Trump. And then when we got into the discussion of the Stormy Daniels NDA, he said specifically, and I cross-examined him on this was my idea. It was his idea to take care of the NDA because he had been contacted by a lawyer for Stormy Daniels who said she was going to claim that Donald Trump had sex with her. Cohen said, I didn't believe the allegation, but nevertheless, it would be embarrassing to Melania. That's Michael Cohen's words. He said, and so I decided to take care of this myself.
Wow. There's a lot to unpack there. Number one, the screwy stuff that was going on with the grand jury. Absolutely weird, isn't it? Why wouldn't you want to have exculpatory, which is, information that could exonerate Donald Trump? Why wouldn't you present that to the grand jury? Why would you keep that from them? Because you wanted the indictment. With the old saying, a good DA can get an indictment on a ham sandwich. That's because they play these kinds of games. And this is a perversion of our legal system and raises real ethical questions about the actions of the district attorney. Second of all, the testimony about his meeting with Michael Cohen, where he said, I don't have anything on Trump. I don't have anything on Trump. He said, I asked that question 20 times. And the answer always came back. I don't have anything on Trump. And he said, and it was my idea. And I felt like it would embarrass Melania, and that's why he apparently took out, we are told, a home equity loan, Michael Cohen did, to pay the money to keep that story quiet. That Donald Trump was left out of the loop on all of that. So there you have, really compelling testimony from a guy. Now, will they bring him in? I don't know. If I were the defense team, I'd bring this guy in and I'd have him say this before the jury. But remarkable stuff. With regard to the part of holding back information from the grand jury, he said they had a lot of exculpatory information. Here's Jonathan Turley's take on that.
And for the prosecutors to be cutting off a witness to try to keep information from the grand jury is quite telling, and it says a lot about what we're seeing in this case. I mean, Costello is a powerful witness, obviously. He was the deputy chief of the criminal division at the Southern District of New York. He's got the chops. He's a major player in the New York legal scene. And he was shocked, and I don't blame him.
Yeah, I'm shocked, too. As far as the testimony today, it's been all about cross-examination of Cohen. Lawyers, this is from the Washington Examiner, lawyers from the president, former President Donald Trump during his New York hush money trial, challenged Trump's former lawyer Michael Cohen over Cohen's past lies and sworn testimony, casting the prosecution's witness as a serial liar. Trump lawyer Todd Blanche spent the better part of the 18th day of the trial working to paint a picture for the 12-member jury of Cohen as a proven liar who pleaded guilty to crimes associated with those lies and used his cooperation as part of those pleas to obtain a shorter prison sentence. Cohen was measured at first, but courtroom reporters noted he began to get animated under cross-examination on Thursday. When you plead guilty to a crime, one of the things you get, one of the benefits you get, is a little time off your sentence. Correct? Blanche asked. Cohen agreed he would get a reduction, to which Blanche replied, "You got credit even though you lied." Cohen has admitted some responsibility for the 34-count hush money charges Trump now faces in New York, but he has suggested he should not have been charged in 2018 for campaign finance violations tied to the payment in 2016 he made to porn star Stormy Daniels. Look, again, I turn to people that I have a great deal of respect for in the legal world. Jonathan Turley is top of that list. Andrew McCarthy, top of that list. Though I don't always agree with him on a political basis, Alan Dershowitz is somebody who will tell you the truth about the law. He cares about the law more than he cares about, his personal beliefs, which I think is admirable. And all of these people are saying the same thing. The prosecution has not made the case. This is a business documents case. And what it has turned into is an arena in which they could bring up old garbage on Donald Trump and smear his good reputation. I'm telling you, they are doing everything they can to harm him politically. Even if they don't get a conviction, they win, because what have they done? They've kept him tied up for so far 18 days from going out on the campaign trail. They have kept him, in an arena where, he has to go in every day, and the only thing he can do is make comments in an echoey hallway. And they have tried to smear and bring up old garbage and old stuff and just try to, throw everything they can at him that might, and see if anything of it sticks. And you know what? It's not sticking with the American people. That's the part that gives me great hope about this country. Americans are seeing through what this is. It is a political show trial, and it's based on flimsy evidence, no evidence at all, really, and a twisted, perverted legal process where the district attorney kept information from the grand jury that handed down the indictments. Right there, I mean, there's some real questions about the ethics involved here on the other side. So again, very powerful stuff. This will be the prosecution's last witness, Cohen. I don't think they've made their case. It'll be interesting to see what happens next with the defense. Do they call witnesses? They'll probably call in some technical experts on election law and that kind of stuff. Or they may just decide, you know what? They haven't proven their case. Let's end this charade. Let's send it to the jury. They'll ask first for a directed verdict. They probably won't get it from this judge, but they should. And then they'll just maybe cut their losses and say, let's get this thing over with. I think the jurors are tired, and America is tired. And if that's all they got, then let's just go ahead and put this thing to a test. I don't know. We'll watch. Again, this is the last witness to be brought forward by the prosecution. Pretty compelling stuff, don't you think? I think it's very interesting to hear the comments of Robert Costello. By the way, immensely respected in New York legal circles. 21 past the hour.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
We've got an update from the NTSB on that plane crash that ended the lives of 3 people yesterday in Williamson County, including how the wreckage gather up is going and where they're at on that investigation, plus the support that local law enforcement offered, plus some news coming out of L.A. as far as their city transit's concerned. All here, 3:30 Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
Mac Morey, I was just going to talk about that plane crash for just a moment because I did a little investigation on it. I mean, one of the unusual things about this particular plane crash that claimed the lives of 3 people is that the debris was over a long period of space, that the long debris field. And the question is, that indicates something happened while the airplane was still in the air. And that usually what happens in a plane crash is it's located wherever the plane crashed. The planes don't usually break up on the way to the crash. So I did a little research on this, and the folks at the NTSB know this for sure. This was a Beechcraft V-35, and if you've ever seen small planes, this is the one that it's a wing under plane, not a wing over like a Cessna. It's a wing under, and it has a V tail instead of a T tail. You know what I'm saying? And so it's very distinctive when you see one, you know it because it's got a V tail.
Yeah.
Well, listen to this. A Beech, let's see, in the late 1980s, repeated V-tail structural failures prompted the U.S. Department of Transportation to conduct extensive wind tunnels and flight tests, which proved the V-tail did not meet type certification standards under certain conditions. The effort culminated with the issuance of an airworthiness directive to strengthen the tail, which significantly reduced the incidence of in-flight breakup. Despite this, Beech has long contended the V-tail features involve operations well beyond the intended flight envelope. Subsequent analysis by the NTSB accident records between 1962 and 2007 revealed an average of 3 V-tail structural failures per year, while the conventional-tailed Bonanza 33 and 36 suffered only 11 such failures in some 45 years. In addition to the structural issues, the Bonanza 35 has a relatively narrow center of gravity envelope, and the tail design is intolerant of imbalances caused by damage or improper maintenance or repainting. Such imbalances may cause in what they call aeroelastic flutter. Long and short of it is that it is well known that this is a plane that can have this problem. And it depends on how it was maintained and whether they did the structural upgrades. This particular aircraft built in 1966, which on its own is not a big deal. I mean, planes are not like cars. If you maintain them properly, replace the engine, and you can do maintenance on them, they can fly for many, many, many years. But this particular model with the V-tail has been known to have problems with structural reliability, and they've had many failures documented over the many years. So it's beginning to look like exactly that was the thing that may be driving all of this. We know the identities of at least the pilot. He was a plastic surgeon out of Louisiana. Dr. Lucius Trey Duchette was the pilot. And this was, by the way, the longest flight this particular plane had made since in recent years. They had little short flights out of an airport, look like training flights or maybe just, joy flights. Let's go up. It's a nice afternoon. Let's go up for a flight. I mean, up until this 4-hour flight he was trying to make to Louisville, the longest flight was 52 minutes long. So, yeah, I know. So this was a 4-hour flight, which would have tested the plane in a much more stringent way. And so apparently, who knows? It's the NTSB that will make the final designation. But in situations like this, they have a pretty good idea, given the history of that particular aircraft, where to look. And so they should be able to get this one put together, it would imagine, in pretty short order and get a final ruling on that. Sad to lose 3 people. But again, a lot of people say, the last line in this thing I got, despite these issues, many Bonanza 35 owners insist that the aircraft is reasonably safe, and its reputation has resulted in reduced purchase costs for budget-conscious buyers. So it's a relatively inexpensive aircraft because of its history. If you trust that the work has been done, then maybe this is the way you get into flying a private aircraft at a budget-conscious way. 30 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock.
.30, I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. Right now, 79 degrees in Nashville. Partly sunny on Music Row. Full weather forecast and a traffic report coming up in 5 minutes. Right now here in Tennessee, we've got more on evidence on that plane crash that happened yesterday. NTSB updated the public on that crash that ended the lives of 3 people. The spokesperson filling us in on next steps in the process.
We're going to be on scene here for the next 24 to 48 hours. Due to the disposition of the wreckage, we're going to be transporting it up to a secured facility in Springfield, Tennessee. In fact, the salvage team, the aircraft recovery team, is already here. They are out with a group of local responders who are assisting with the wreckage gathering because it is widely dispersed. We have hilly terrain, we have water, we have flat terrain, we have farmland, and we're having to gather all those separate pieces and take them and put them together in basically a 2-dimensional or 3-dimensional layout on the hangar floor tomorrow or Saturday, which will help us determine how the airplane came apart.
And he said they have drone support trying to help map that wreckage that spans about a half mile, which means the plane dismantled partially while in air. He estimated they have about 75% of that wreckage. They have a team of 15 people or so on the ground. They have both wings along with the stabilizers and the fuselage. Weather and radar data, along with the pilot's experience and qualifications, will all be big parts of this investigation. Full results in this investigation may take 9 months, but they did mention weather was at least a factor in this crash. He mentioned that the local officials and emergency management team support was, quote, nearly unprecedented on a scene like this. And plastic surgeon Dr. Lucius from Louisiana was confirmed to be the pilot in yesterday's tragedy. They were en route to Louisville, Kentucky. Over in California, Los Angeles, dealing with a surge in violence on public transit. Victims have included staff and riders. Now action is being taken, as we hear from Alex Stone there in L.A.
After a series of violent attacks on board L.A.'s metro system of buses and trains, city and county leaders say they'll be surging law enforcement on the transit system. Over 600 uniformed law enforcement work the system every day, plus 200 transit security guards. The hope is to increase that by 20%. Among other proposals is to upgrade physical barriers for bus drivers so they have protection from attacks.
And that is the latest news, traffic and weather on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Let me tell you about the folks over at USS. You know they're the place to go for if you have water problems on your property, whether you have, a wet crawl space, whether you have foundation issues. But now they're doing work on mold, and mold can be a real problem. They're the company you've trusted in your crawl space for the last 30 years is now offering mold treatment. It's perfect timing because we've all the humidity and the moisture we've had. Maybe you're noticing a musty smell in your house. Maybe you're feeling some sneezing and some increased allergies, or you're suffering from respiratory issues. You might have mold in your crawl space. Mold spores travel into the home and up into the air you breathe. You need to turn your crawl space into a healthy space with United Structural Systems Complete Microbial Growth Treatment. They don't just treat the mold. They treat any type of growth that could be eating away at your floor joists, and if you have moisture in your crawl space, you probably have mold. They have what they call the RTE solution: remove, treat, and encap. So listen, it comes with a lifetime warranty. They know what they're doing about all this. They care about you, and they'll take care of you. Now through June 30th, get $500 off the purchase of any mold treatment from USS. Call now before humidity increases and the mold in your crawl space gets worse. At USS, they guarantee their best. Here's the number, 615-488-7855, online at USSTN.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Well, let's head out to the swamp. Man, I'm telling you, it's a nasty, nasty, nasty place. I ain't afraid of no swamp, though. I'll wander right out into the bog, all the muck and the guck and the goo, try to help you understand what goes on there. I spent 31 years in that godforsaken swamp, so maybe I can help you understand some of the things that are going on in the background. This story is out of the White House. And it has a Department of Justice element to it as well. Remember when Joe Biden was under investigation for having classified documents, right? And you had this special counsel by the name of Robert Hur was doing the investigation. He had documents stuck back from when he was in the Senate. And we had absolutely no reason to have classified documents in his possession when he was in the Senate. And then there were some that came from the time when he was vice president. By the way, he doesn't have any protection because he was the vice president, not the president. And he had them here, he had them there, he had them right next to, the Corvette in the garage. No kidding, really, literally right next to the Corvette, where I guess the guy who does the gardening could go by and look at classified documents. Hunter Biden lived there for a while. Who had access to those documents? Great question. But at the end of the day, Robert Hur decided, well, we're not going to bring charges because, well, if we did, I don't think we could get a conviction with a jury who would look at the president as a well-meaning, doddering old man with a bad memory. Oh, the Democrats didn't like that. They got up in arms about it. They got up in arms and said, no. That was beyond the pale. You shouldn't have said that. And then we got a transcript of his testimony before the special counsel, and it was eye-opening. And that, you know, the president couldn't keep a train of thought. He got to geezing and telling old stories, and it was just, you know, there were just he had no memory of things like exactly when his son died. He didn't have a memory of when that happened. And by the way, he got really upset. President got upset for them even mentioning that. But it wasn't the special counsel that brought it up. The president brought it up as the transcript showed. There was so much about this. And then we found out, oh, wait, there's an audio recording of it. How about that? Well, okay, so if you're going to tell us that the president of the United States violated the law, but you don't think you got a case against him because he was a doddering old man, well, we need to hear that audio. We need to hear exactly how the president answered these questions. It's very important for us to understand how you came to your conclusion. And so now the House of Representatives has been asking and asking and asking for these recordings that were in the possession of the special counsel and a division of the Department of Justice, to release the recordings. And they've been dragging their feet and dragging their feet and dragging their feet. And now they have said, and this is the new development today, we're just not going to release that because there is attorney-client privilege. Attorney-client privilege. This means that the White House is exerting and that it has an attorney-client executive privilege that protects them, and they don't have to release it. Executive privilege is different from attorney-client privilege. Let me go back. Executive privilege is basically saying, okay, the President of the United States needs to be able to have conversations with people, and they need to know that those conversations are private and are not going to be analyzed later because it's very much about how the President makes a decision-making process. That's always been the definition of executive privilege. You need to protect these conversations with the President because the President, needs to be able to get and solicit advice and to talk about things in a freewheeling kind of way without it coming up later against him, because a lot of things, get wrought up and then shot down in these conversations, and he needs to have the ability to talk to people. But that's not what this is. This is the Department of Justice saying it was a conversation with the president over a legal matter. And so we're going to claim executive privilege. It's nuts. It doesn't make any sense at all. This is not typically the way executive privilege is exerted in a situation like this. So here's from the Epoch Times. President Joe Biden has asserted executive privilege over the tapes of his 2-day interview with special counsel Robert Hur in his probe of the president's alleged mishandling of classified information. The tapes are at the center of a dispute between House Republicans and Attorney General Merrick Garland, who has defied a subpoena for them and today faces contempt proceedings. Mr. Garland, in a letter that was dated yesterday to the president, said the committee's needs are plainly insufficient to outweigh the deleterious effects that the production of the recordings would have on the integrity and the effectiveness of similar law enforcement investigations in the future. But that's a different thing than executive privilege. It's a long-standing position in the executive branch held by administrations of both parties that an official who had searched the president's claim of executive privilege cannot be held in contempt of Congress. That's what this is really about. President Biden's counsel has accused the House of Republicans of wanting the tapes for political purposes. Here is the Attorney General. I apologize for the crappy audio we have here, but this is him responding to questions from reporters about this morning.
The Justice Department is a fundamental institution of our democracy. People depend on us to ensure. The Justice Department is a fundamental institution of our democracy. People depend on us to.
I apologize. We'll start this one more time, and my apologies too for the technical difficulty.
The Justice Department is a fundamental institution of our democracy. People depend on us to ensure that our investigations and our prosecutions are conducted according to the facts and the law and without political influence. We have gone to extraordinary lengths to ensure that the committees get responses to their legitimate requests. But this is not one. To the contrary, this is one that would harm our ability in the future to successfully pursue sensitive investigations.
You know, you'd think with all of the millions of dollars that we send to Washington, that the Department of Justice could get a decent microphone in front of the Attorney General when he speaks. It's just unbelievable. But there you have it. There's his response. It came up at the White House today during the White House briefing.
But does the White House feel that the recording, the audio could be politically harmful, since that point was also raised in the letter?
So I don't want to dive into the specific point that you're making about the politics. I would have to refer you to our counsel's office on that. But there were determination that the president took very seriously on behalf of obviously at the request of the Attorney General, and that's how this decision was made.
And more?
First, President Biden decided to block the release of the audio of his interview with the special counsel, and obviously the letter from the White House counsel laid out the reasons about the concerns of being used for political purposes. But that seems to imply that the White House is concerned that these could be politically damaging. So why not just release them, especially with this White House's commitment to transparency?
Well, for one, the transcripts, as you all know, is already out there. I think the second piece of this, too, to note is that the Attorney General made it clear that law enforcement files like these need to be protected. And so the president made his determination at the request of the Attorney General. So just want to make that second point that I made really clear. The Department of Justice and the White House counsel's office have provided extensive written letters, as you all know. I'm sure some of you have read this on this issue. And like I said, that you have seen. And so when it comes to anything further or any specifics, obviously I would refer you to my colleagues at the White House counsel's office. Mm-hmm. But those are just to make that second point again very clear. This was taken by determination. The president took the determination at the request of the Attorney General, and the Attorney General wanted to make sure that that law enforcement files like these must be protected. I
just disagree. I completely disagree. I mean, the case is over. It's moot now at this point. No prosecution is going to take place. James Comer's the chairman of the House Oversight Committee. He said clearly President Biden and his advisors fear releasing the audio recordings of his interview because it will reaffirm to the American people that President Biden's mental state is in decline. As we told you, HER's report released in February concluded that Biden was sloppy in holding on to classified material related to his time as vice president. Special counsel said prosecutors couldn't pursue a criminal case against Biden in part because there were some innocent explanations for Biden's actions and because a jury might view him as a sympathetic defendant who was well-intentioned and forgetful. Biden sat down with her in October, starting the day after the October 7th Hamas attack on Israel. The transcript of the interview shows Biden engaging in frequent discussions on topics big and small, from Obama-era policy disputes to an ace archery shot in Mongolia and his fondness for electric vehicles he tested as president. It also showed Biden discussing his son Beau's death emotionally and at length, and at one point he described his son as dying around 2018. He recalled the day and the month, but he had the wrong year by 3 years. It was 2015. He acknowledged the mistake and described how the family tragedy weighed heavily on his decision to run for the presidency. None of this, of course, has anything to do with the documents, but that means like it was trying to. Ever had a conversation with an old person trying to keep them on track? You know what I'm talking about. No disrespect, man, but sometimes they wander. And I think that would be very telling for the American people to hear what he had to say. Contempt of Congress resolution against Garland would have to go to the full House for a vote. Even if it passed, it would be largely symbolic because it would be the Justice Department, Merrick Garland's own agency, which would be brought up and would have to make the decision on whether to prosecute its leader. So that's not going anywhere. It'd be symbolic. During the Obama administration, the Republican-led House held Attorney General Eric Holder in contempt in 2012 but prosecutors declined to bring the charges. The same was true in 2019 when a Democrat-controlled chamber voted to hold Trump appointed Attorney General William Barr in contempt. So it's not going anywhere, but we're not going to hear the tapes, apparently. An unusual exertion of executive privilege by the executive. 51 minutes past the hour.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
More information from today's testimony on former President Trump's hush money trial. An update on that fatal plane crash in Williamson County, plus some news coming out of Nashville, SC today. 4 o'clock, Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
It is 57 minutes now past the hour. Let's take a look at the markets. For a short while today, a couple of times actually, it was wow, Dow, 40 thou. I mean, it went above the 40,000 mark today. However, at the end of the day, it pulled back into down about 38 points. The closing average was 39,869. So still a little under the 40,000 mark as a closing number. S&P was down 11. The NASDAQ was down 44. So all screens were red today. What's driving the market? Let's check in with John Maxon over at Beacon Capital Management for more.
Hey, good afternoon, Brian. Yeah, that was a historic level today. The Dow closed below 40,000, but it actually reached that level. It actually moved from 30 to 40,000, about 872 sessions, but the indexes fell. It really was a result after the CPI report yesterday came in better than expected. The market liked that. But today, one of the Fed presidents, the Cleveland Fed president, came out and kind of put a damper on an interest rate cut anytime soon. The market doesn't like that. And then retail sales were flat. So, again, retail sales concerning, also a little bit of declining manufacturing data. So market taking a little bit of a breather. Tomorrow we have the Conference Board of Leading Economic Indicators. That's a major gauge in the economy. So that could push the market direction one way or another.
All right. Thank you very much, John. Find out about all the things that John Maxon and the other good people over at Beacon Capital Management can do to help you get ready for your retirement. Just go to their website, askbeaconnow.com. 59 past the hour. You know, no, we'd love that to be the case, but there are no pills or spinal creams that can be applied that will magically open up your spinal disc and take the pressure off your nerves if you have pain in your back. You have really just two choices. One is surgery, and the other is non-invasive spinal decompression. Now, I chose non-surgical spinal decompression at the Wellness Institute of Nashville, and I can tell you it helped me. Had problems in my neck, had problems with my lower back. Both are doing so much better now that I went to the Wellness Institute of Nashville. They have state-of-the-art facilities, the latest in high-tech equipment that offers non-surgical procedures. And because getting better is so important, Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley are offering half-off spinal decompression treatments and half-off the KT knee machine, which is sort of like spinal decompression for the knee. It gently elongates the knee so you can get the healing therapy deeper into the tissue. Now, if you're a new patient, we've got a deal for you. Your first exam, your consultation and first treatment will cost you only $23. So why don't you call this number to set up your appointment, 615-246-5009. I put my stamp of approval on the Wellness Institute of Nashville, so call them today or learn more at painisbad.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
.402, I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. Now 80 degrees, mostly sunny in Nashville. Just been ticking up that temperature marker each and every hour. Traffic, weather forecast coming up 5 minutes. More information on today's testimony from former President Trump's hush money trial. Derek Dennis.
Court's done for the day and for the rest of the week in former President Trump's hush money trial in New York City. Trump asked to be off on Friday for his son's graduation. He'll also do some campaigning. In a sidebar at the end of the day with lawyers on both sides, the judge wanted to know how much more testimony there is to go. The defense saying they'll be done with former Trump fixer Michael Cohen Monday morning, followed by a short redirect of questioning from the prosecution, but still no word of whether Trump will take the stand in his own defense. Trump supporters, including high-profile Republicans, have been with Trump all day.
One thing to bring them into the room in the morning with Donald Trump and have them sit there and watch, but because they are going in and out and doing television hits, his allies that are with him, they are ending up coming in while there is a witness on the stand in the middle of testimony, and it's something that prosecutors raised to the judge outside of the earshot of the jury.
And now here in Tennessee right now, NTSB updated the public on Williamson County plane crash that ended the lives of 3 people yesterday. That spokesperson filling us in.
We're going to be on scene here for the next 24 to 48 hours. Due to the disposition of the wreckage, we're going to be transporting it up to a secured facility in Springfield, Tennessee. In fact, the salvage team, the aircraft recovery team, is already here. They are out with a group of local responders who are assisting with the wreckage gathering because it is widely dispersed. We have hilly terrain, we have water, we have flat terrain, we have farmland, and we're having to gather all those separate pieces and take them and put them together in basically a 2-dimensional or 3-dimensional layout on the hangar floor tomorrow or Saturday, which will help us determine how the airplane came apart.
He said they have drones trying to help map the wreckage that spans about a half mile, which means the plane dismantled partially while in air. He estimated that they have about 75% of that wreckage. They have a team of 15 people or so on the ground. They have both wings along with stabilizers in the fuselage, the main parts of the plane. Weather and radar data are going to be gathered along with the pilot's experience and qualifications. Those will all be big parts of this investigation. Full results in the investigation will take around 9 months. They did mention that weather was at least a factor in this crash. And the spokesperson mentioned that local officials and emergency management team support was, quote, nearly unprecedented on a scene like this. And we are hearing about those victims. Plastic surgeon Dr. Lucius from Louisiana was confirmed to be the pilot in yesterday's crash. He was flying 2 students, also his children, who were set to graduate from LSU today. They were en route to, tomorrow, They were en route to Louisville, Kentucky. Right now in Middle Tennessee, changes coming to the Nashville Soccer Club. The team announced on X what it calls the departure of head coach Gary Smith and assistant coach Steve Guppy from the club. Right now, Nashville is 10th in the Eastern Conference with a 3-5-4 record. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
It's 8 minutes past the hour, 4 o'clock, hour number 2 of the drive. How you doing out there on this Thursday? It's May 16th. We are bringing you news and information from around the world, across the nation, up your street and down your alley. Going to give you all the stuff you need to be well informed. We're going to tell you stories that you probably won't hear in many other places. And this one is a perfect example of that. We talk about the border situation all the time. And I have from time to time said that I think we have a real concern in America because of the unknown gotaways. You see, we have known gotaways, we have unknown gotaways, and there's a bunch of them. People are coming across the border that we know, in particular, they come across the border because we have sensors or cameras that see them, but they were unable to intercept them because, well, the Border Patrol's become a big babysitting service, and they don't have time to go out and actually enforce the border anymore and control the border anymore because they're doing paperwork for all of these people who are coming across the border illegally. And so there are, well, I'll get into the numbers in a moment, but I mean, I think, honestly, since Biden took office, we're probably talking about somewhere in the neighborhood of around 2 million gotaways, unknown and known. You see, your known ones are the ones you see, but if you talk to the experts, they say add about 20% of that number, that would be the people that we don't even know anything about who got across the border. 1.8 million, so it's probably around 2 million. Wow, 2 million people in this country we don't know anything about. We don't know who they are. We don't know what they're up to. We don't know where they ended up. Nothing. We don't know nothing about it. And I've said I think it's a big national security concern. I mean, if you're a foreign intelligence agency, or if you're an enemy of the United States, and you wanted to get people into the country surreptitiously to do your bidding, what better way than to take advantage of the chaos at the border? Just pay the coyotes a little extra money. See, you pay one fee if you want to encounter the Border Patrol. You pay another fee if you don't want to encounter the Border Patrol. So pay them a little more money. They get you across the border, and then you're free to create mayhem wherever you go. You say, Wilson, that's a lot of speculation. Okay, then listen to this. From Washington, D.C., 2 people were placed in custody of U.S. immigration officials after they tried to drive a delivery truck past security guards and onto Marine Corps base in Virginia. We're talking about Quantico. Not just a Marine base, the Marine base, Quantico. The incident occurred May 3rd. So this is some days old, but we're just now finding out about it, when 2 people drove up to the Fuller Road gate of Marine Corps Base Quantico in a box truck and were stopped by military sentries, according to Captain Michael Curtis, the base spokesman. When asked, the operator of the truck informed military police officers they worked for a company subcontracted by Amazon and that they were making a delivery to the U.S. Post Office located in the town of Quantico. Because the 2 had no affiliation with the Marine base and no credentials to enter, military police officers directed them to go to a holding area to go through the standard vetting process. At this time, one of the officers noticed the driver ignored the instructions and attempted to drive onto the base. Officers were able to deploy the vehicle denial barriers and detain the individuals before turning them over to U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. The agency did not respond Wednesday to a request for comment. No one was injured and no weapons were reported to be found. Okay, when any vehicle and its occupants fail to comply with the clear direction of its on-duty police officers, specific steps are taken by those officers to restrict any further access. Those actions by our on-duty police help maintain the safety and security of all those who live and work at Marine Base Quantico. Okay. So who are these people? The migrants' immigration status is unclear, but according to Potomac Local News, multiple sources report one of the individuals inside the truck is a Jordanian foreign national who recently crossed the southern border into the United States, and that one of the occupants, are you ready, is on the U.S. terrorist watch list. Of course he is. What were they trying to do getting into Quantico? What was their plan? I'd like to know more about this. And so did that nice Peter Ducey at the White House. He asked about it.
The deputy director of ICE is telling us that 2 Jordanian nationals are in removal proceedings now after posing as Amazon delivery drivers to crash the gates at Quantico. Does the White House think this might have been a failed terrorist attack?
So going to be really mindful. These 2 Jordanians that you're speaking of remain in ICE custody. And given that it is an active law enforcement matter, so I would have to refer you to ICE. I just can't dive into this because, again, there's a law enforcement. This is a law enforcement matter.
Yeah. Didn't want to talk about it, in other words. They're being hinky about this one. And my little reporter spidey senses tingle when somebody gives a hinky answer. In other news, with regards to the border and to immigration, et cetera, which is one of the most important issues in the coming election, border gotaways exploded under Biden compared to Trump, new data show. I'm going to cut through the chase on some of this. So if you look at the years 2010 through 2020, all right, that's 10 years before Biden took office. They had about 1.4 million gotaways. That's a lot, but that's over 10 years. So we're talking about years where there were 85,000. Some years, I think in 2013 was a particularly bad year. That was 172,000. During Biden's term, the number of gotaways seen but not apprehended has jumped substantially, increasing every year of Biden's presidency. In fiscal year 21, the Department of Homeland Security recorded 387,398 known gotaways. The next year, the number rose to 606,131 known gotaways. In fiscal year 2023, the number rose again to 670,674 known gotaways. Altogether, roughly 1.6 million illegal immigrants were seen entering the country and evading apprehensions between 21 and 23, more than the entire decade from fiscal year 2010 through 2020. In other words, it exploded tremendously under Biden. And we know why. Here's the thing. In 2019, Jay Johnson, who served as the Homeland Security Secretary during the Obama administration, he said that a daily encounter average of 1,000 a day would overwhelm the Border Patrol. At 4,000 a day, which is what they are having some days, the border would be in crisis. Johnson said he would start every day looking at apprehensive numbers from the day before, apprehension numbers. I'd look at them every morning. It'd be the first thing I'd look at. It was probably got close to the problem. My staff will tell you, if it was under 1,000 apprehensions the day before, that was a relatively good day. If it was above 1,000, it was a relatively bad number, and I was going to be in a bad mood for the whole day. On Tuesday, when he was testifying, he said there were 4,000 apprehensions. I know that 1,000 overwhelms the system. I cannot begin to imagine what 4,000 a day would begin to look at. You push back, and the number goes somewhere else. The good news is the number of illegal border crossings is down in Texas. The bad news is illegal border crossings are up in other states. In the first 3 months of 24, illegal border crossings are up 10% along the U.S.-Mexico border. A shift is happening as illegal immigrants have moved primarily crossing into Texas into crossing into Arizona and California. That's because the state of Texas is fighting back. The state of Texas is putting up resistance. The state of Texas, not the federal government, is doing everything they can to stop the problem. But the problem just moves somewhere else. It's like a balloon filled with Jell-O. You squeeze it here and it pops out over there. Now I want Jell-O. Okay, then there is this number, which I just find remarkable. And again, it's a national security concern. I don't know why we're not screaming about this from every rooftop. There have been in fiscal year 2024. Now that started in October. So from October until now, May 16th, roughly, we have had 24,125 Chinese nationals come into this country illegally, mostly in the San Diego border. Again, that's let's call it 25,000 Chinese nationals have come across the border. They've encountered the Border Patrol. They're given their piece of paper. They're released. Most of these, the vast majority of them, are military-age males. What are they doing? Where are they coming from? What are they up to? Why are they doing this? Do you not think that the Chinese would not have a vested interest in taking advantage of our chaos on the border to put through people who don't have our best interest at heart, say, okay, get across the border, infiltrate into the fabric of America, disappear, and wait for our call. We'll let you know when we need you. I'm telling you, I believe with every fiber of my being that that is happening. That's exactly what this is. By the way, you say, well, is that a big number? 24,000, 25,000? Is that a big number? It is a 8,000% increase from 2021. An 8,000% increase from 2021. Our border is still in disorder. 21 minutes now past the hour. Let the team at Restoration Wellness Med Spa help you achieve your summer goals. Restoration Wellness is a leader in weight loss management in Wilson County. And, you know, summer is around the corner. It's nice today, 81 degrees right now. So maybe, you know, you're thinking about shorts. Maybe you're thinking about going to the pool. Maybe you're thinking about taking time down by the beach. You want to look good, right? Call Restoration Wellness Team today at this number, 615-470-8124, or visit them at their website, restorationwellnessmedspa.com, to book a consult today. See, my friends Carly and Jamie will take really good care of you. They'll treat you like they're one of your own. I mean, they really will. They'll treat you like family. Be part of the 1,000 patients who've already seen life-changing results from the weight loss management program there. Weight loss can have many benefits. It can increase your energy levels, improve your quality of sleep, enhance your overall health. These are customizable treatment plans. They don't just take something off the shelf and say one size fits all. They consider your unique needs, your lifestyle, and your goals. So whether your goal is to lose stubborn body fat or to improve your overall health, Restoration Wellness has a solution for you. Why don't you take advantage of the newest technology in weight loss management? Learn more at their website, restorationwellnessmedspa.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
More info on yesterday's fatal plane crash in Williamson County, plus the money news. 4:30 Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I want to take you back to an interview that Joe Biden did with Aaron Burnett over at CNN. It turned out to be a disastrous interview where she was asking him, I'll have to say, for CNN, was asking the right questions about the economy and how bad it is, and Biden wasn't having any of it. He denies, it was a complete denial that there's any kind of problem at all with the economy, and he kept saying things like, no, we've made it better. But you know what? It didn't work out too well for him because nobody believes that. I mean, people who are living in the real world do not feel like things are better when inflation is up 20, 25, 30% in some categories. I mean, it's just costing people a lot to live, and they're not getting pay raises, and they're falling behind, and the interest rates are high, so they're stacking stuff on their credit cards, and they got them all maxed out, and they can't buy a home because interest rates are too high, and that is Bidenomics in many people's minds. And then he said this unbelievably stupid and absolutely 1,000% inaccurate thing about, well, you got to understand the problem. I inherited inflation at 9% when I became president.
No president's had the run we've had in terms of creating jobs and bringing down inflation. It was 9% when I came to office. 9%.
Well, that's simply not true. That fails the truth tester there. Not true at all, because inflation when he came into office was 1.4%. During his administration, it went up to 9%. But yet he absolutely just insisted that he inherited this problem from Donald Trump.
Bringing down inflation. It was 9% when I came to office. 9%.
Well, over at Fox News and Fox Business, they got a guy. I actually love this guy a lot. His name is Neil Cavuto. I didn't work with Neil a great deal. I would appear on his show occasionally, but everybody who worked for him loved him. Sweetest guy, best guy in the world. Everybody just raved about what a great boss he was, and everybody adores Neil Cavuto. But it was Neil Cavuto who's like a dog with a bone on this particular question with Jared Bernstein, who serves on the president's Council of Economic Advisors. This is how you do an interview. Neil Cavuto versus Jared Bernstein about this thing that the president said, suggesting he had inherited 9% inflation when he took office.
Jared, why does he keep saying that? You're his top you're the head of the Council of Economic Advisors. Do you ever whisper in his ear, Mr. President, just to be technical about it, it wasn't 9% when you assumed office, it was 1.4%. It got as high as 9% in 2022. You brought it down from that, but it was never, ever, ever 9% when you came into office. So why does he keep saying it?
Well, first of all, let me point out that in that very quote you played, the president talked about how concerned he was for households struggling with prices that he consistently characterizes as too high.
That's not what I asked you. Why does he keep misrepresenting this?
He's making the point that the factors that caused inflation to climb to 9% were in place when he took office.
No,
I think
that's
it was
not what he said. He said it was at 9%. It would eventually get to 9% a little over a year after that. But the fact of the matter is it wasn't 9%. So if I can't trust him quoting data in real time, why should I believe what he's talking about now?
So the annual growth in core inflation in the second quarter of 21 was, in fact, about 9%. And his point about inflation down 60% off its peak is very much the case. So
no, it wasn't. It was not. It was not at that. So you're almost as bad as he is. Why can't you just say it was high? It got as high as 9%. You'd be accurate in saying that. And we have now brought it down, and we're struggling in around the 3% area. But it's better than it was. But instead, to hang it on his predecessor, that you inherited something that was through the roof when we were in the middle of COVID, it just seems to the American people, whether you're Republican or Democrat, you're lying. You're just lying.
Well, hold on. I hear you. The president was making the point that I think is unequivocally true. The factors factors that took inflation to 9% were in place when he took office.
That is not what he said, Jared. And you're a very smart guy with this stuff. You could just whisper, and he's a good friend of yours, obviously, thinks the world of you. Many others do as well. You could have just told him, Chief, I got to tell you, Mr. President, whatever you say, you might even call him Joe. That's how close you are.
So
and
look,
just say, sir, it was not 9%. Stop it with the 9%, because the more you say that, the more people don't believe what you're saying.
Look, I think what the American people care most about is the fact
truth.
that inflation.
The American people care about truth, Jared.
Hold on, Neil. Neil, this only works if you let me talk, okay?
You haven't answered my question. I've asked it 5 times, five ways.
The president was making the point that the factors that caused inflation were in place when he took office, and that's unequivocally true.
Right.
I take your point, and we can have we can go on all day back and forth on this.
I mean, that's holding people accountable. That's the way you do it. 31 past the hour.
.431, I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. Currently 80 degrees, mostly sunny in Music City. Got a forecast and a traffic report just 5 minutes away. Right now in Tennessee, Channel 4's Steve Mailing brings us more information on yesterday's fatal plane crash in Williamson County.
They've estimated about 75% of the plane has been found so far. Now, NTSB officials say they look at 3 elements for this crash: the human, the machine, and the environment. But they say a majority of this investigation, it actually goes on behind the scenes as they piece all these factors back together. Once again, all 3 people on board have died as a result of this crash. As Lauren Tracy just mentioned, 2 students from LSU set to graduate tomorrow, and their father, a surgeon from Baton Rouge.
And he said they have drone support trying to help map the wreckage along with a team of 15 people or so on the ground. They have both wings along with the stabilizers and the fuselage, the main parts of the plane. Weather and radar data along with the pilot's experience and qualifications will all be big portions of this investigation. Full results in the investigation will take 9 months, but they did mention weather was at least a factor in this fatal tragedy. He mentioned that the local officials and emergency management team support was, quote, nearly unprecedented on a scene such as this. Now over to our Money News report. Daria Albinger filling us in.
A negative close for the major indexes Thursday, but they drifted toward record levels during the sessions. The Dow Jones Industrial Average briefly topped the 40,000 level for the first time. The indexes have charged higher despite high inflation, the effects of high interest rates, and worries about a recession that hasn't happened. The Dow down 39 points, the S&P 500 down 11, the Nasdaq down 44. McDonald's plans to introduce a $5 meal deal in the U.S. next month to counter slowing sales. Walmart is reporting another quarter of strong results as its low prices pull in shoppers scouring for discounts, with inflation still higher than desired. The nation's largest retailer also offered an upbeat outlook, profits of over $5 billion, or 63 cents per share, and revenue rose 6%. Both were better than expected. Walmart said that its customers are buying more necessities while cutting back on discretionary spending.
And that was Chuck Sievertson bringing us that Wall Street information. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather on the way. I'm Mac Maury, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
It's 38 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock. Brian Wilson in the chair on Thursday, May 16th. Let's get you home. Let's get you home safely. Hope everything's going well for your drive this afternoon. I want to do my 2024 update if I could because, we got some stuff to talk about. Yesterday we learned that there are going to be debates. I've got to tell you, well, actually, there are people out there who still believe that it may not come to fruition, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. But Donald Trump and Joe Biden have agreed to do 2 debates, one in June, one in September. Let's see, I've got those. June 27th and September 10th are the 2 days. And they're going to be different. They're not going to be in a big arena with a big crowd like the Commission on Presidential Debates has done in the past. No, they got a different idea. And, apparently Joe Biden put down a lot of sort of rules before he would accept the debate. Yeah, for example, he said, look, the microphone has to be turned off of my opponent while I'm talking, and vice versa. So there won't be any interruptions. That's, he doesn't want to be distracted, as the Donald is pretty good at doing the counterpunch. And he said, and you know what? We can't have a studio audience. We just need to be in a room with just us and the moderators. Jimmy Fallon talked about that last night on The Tonight Show.
Today, President Biden challenged former President Trump to 2 debates, and Trump accepted. Yeah, Biden and Trump will meet June 27th on CNN, and one of Biden's debate conditions was not having an audience. So that explains why it's on CNN.
I just love that. I thought it was good. And so, a lot of people are saying, okay, well, Biden will do whatever, he'll take whatever cocktail of performance-enhancing drugs that he took during the State of the Union. I mean, was he jacked up at the State of the Union? You saw him. He screamed for 2 hours. He seemed angry. Representative Greg Murphy, Republican of North Carolina, suggested in a Thursday interview that President Biden must have been jacked up during his State of the Union address, pointing to the president's energetic performance. Murphy, co-chair of the GOP Doctors Caucus, said he's a doctor, right? Said in an interview with Fox News' Maria Bartiromo that his assessment is from a medical viewpoint and that he has evidence substantiating his claim, a point that provoked some questions from the conservative media pundit. I was in the State of the Union address, and Joe Biden must have been jacked up on something that day. I absolutely believe, from a medical standpoint, and actually I have a bit good of knowledge about that happened, Murphy told Bartiromo. He can't stand under the lights for that long, and I don't think he can keep a concept in his brain that long. Murphy did not elaborate in the interview on the evidence and proceeded to give advice about the recently announced presidential debates. Bartiromo circled back to his claim with a follow-up question. What do you mean when you say he was jacked up at the State of the Union? I believe they gave him something to help him sustain the lights and sustain the vigor that he had. That was not Joe Biden. I was there. He screamed for 2 hours. He screamed for 2 hours. And maybe we can talk offline and I'll show you something that I think proves that. What will you show me? What? Bartiromo asked. I think we have some evidence that shows he was given something before then. Bartiromo appeared surprised by his suggestion, saying, okay, in terms of medicine? Murphy responded by suggesting Biden had gotten a facelift and repeating a frequent refrain that Biden was a puppeteer by the Democrat Party to be president. I fully believe, this is the best quote of the day, I fully believe that it had something to do with pharmacology. The Hill has reached out to the Biden campaign for a response. Well, I do believe, as President Trump does, that he was jacked up that night. I mean, you see him out there, and in an everyday East Room event where all he has to do is walk out from the Oval Office, walk out onto the stage, hit his mark, say a few things that are in a gigantic teleprompter, biggest teleprompter known to mankind, and read them, and then walk away as they play, hey, the music. Just walk away. That's all you got to do. It's not that hard. And we've seen him stumble through that scenario how many times? How many times have you seen him get through? And even though he's in the same room, he's done the same event or something like it hundreds of times, he doesn't seem to know where he is or where he should go. And somebody has to sort of say, then take him now. Then his wife will show up and grab him by the shoulder and lead him off. So that whatever they did for the State of the Union, they're going to do again for the debate. And he'll be Angry Joe. I don't know. Remember he was late to the State of the Union. I always thought that was interesting. Well, look, I mean, how can you possibly be late to an important date like that? It's 16 blocks, and by the way, all 16 blocks are sort of blocked off. So, that, you got a straight shot. I think there were some protests that night, but it's an easy fix. You go over one block and you come up the other side. No problem. It's with a police escort, the trip from the White House to Capitol Hill should take you all of maybe, I don't know, a minute and a half, 2 minutes. So you know what time you got to be there. And he was late. He was very late. I've always this is my theory. I got nothing to back it up. Just idle speculation. I had idle thought. I thought they were waiting for the drugs to hit the right peak. I think that they were trying to time out the drugs. Maybe he was a little too wired for a while. We need to let him calm down just a little bit. We overdid it on whatever it is we gave him. But when you hear a doctor say that he saw the signs and he thought there's some kind of pharmacological answer to what is going on here. Because it's like night and day. It's not the same guy. I think he's right. Minnesota. Minnesota, don't you know? Have you ever been to Minnesota, Chris? It's a nice place. I
have not.
I've been to Minnesota. I went to the Minnesota State Fair, actually. And it was a great state. I liked it. The people, they have a phrase there for the people. They're Minnesota nice. And they really are nice. But Minnesota has been a blue state reliably, I think, since 1982. I don't think the Republicans have won in that state since 1982. Maybe even earlier than that. And now it looks like Minnesota might be in play for Donald Trump. According to a KSTP survey, Trump has been talking about this for some time, but now there's a survey that showed that he's only behind in Minnesota by 2 points. That's within the margin of error. Statistical tie. The KSTP survey USA poll showed 2 percentage points separating Trump and Biden, 44% for Biden, 42% for Trump. Another 9% remain undecided. While those figures have been the same since in April, in February, Biden led Trump with a 4-point advantage. Nevertheless, even Biden's lead is within the survey's 4.3% margin of error, making it a statistical or virtual tie. Further, the survey shows the two are tied among independents, with 36% support to each man from independents. Also shows Trump leading Biden in southern Minnesota, western Minnesota, northeast Minnesota. Biden holds the advantage in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis and St. Paul. Survey coincides with others showing a tight race in Minnesota. Others have said it's there, so Trump says he's going to try to compete in Minnesota, don't you know? He says it's winnable, making a heavy move for the state this time around. It's not like, in my opinion, that blue. We're going to put a heavy move into Minnesota, I promise. He said the same thing about New Jersey, and he had a rally, and he turned out 100,000 people at Wildwood. Amazing. 100,000 people there. Let me close out with this. It's a very complex story. I don't have time to get into all of the details. It comes from the Epoch Times. And it's about something called the super chase strategy that conservatives are employing in this 2024 election. in key states. And basically, it's a page ripped out of the Democrat playbook. And it really just kind of boils down to one thing. That if you've got a good ground game, you can overcome just about anything. In other words, if you have people who are registered to vote and you make sure that they go to vote in some way, either with mail-in ballots or whatever is allowed, in some cases bundling ballots, or making sure they get to the poll on election day, or they do early voting. If you do all those things and you really work it hard, that's what wins elections. It's good old-fashioned nose to the grindstone stuff. And you know what? The Democrats have been really good on the ground game, and the Republicans have been lacking for years. We as Republicans, we sort of, turned our nose up at early voting, mail-in ballots, bundling. We don't do that. We show up on election day. We're Republicans. And you know what? Things happen on election day. Sometimes something will happen with weather. Sometimes life intervenes. You can't get to the polls. So they're talking about this, and there are a couple of quotes out of this story. It's no secret the Democrats have done this for years. And I love, I'm trying to find this quote. The ground game is what they call it. We need to sharpen that, said Nevada Treasurer Dan Schwartz, now a Republican congressional candidate for the state's 3rd district. What the Democrats have figured out is that as long as you can turn out enough votes, it doesn't matter who the candidate is. So they're just going to they've got this strategy where they're going to go in and they're just going to work the ground game. But it's not necessarily just going to the purple places. Like in every state, there are these purple districts, where, we need to really turn out people in the purple districts. No, they want to turn out as many people as are out there in the red districts as well. Making sure that you find every voter who might vote your way and find some way for them to cast a ballot. So, I'm happy to see this. I hope that they have the funding that they need and the support they need from the experts. But I like the idea that this time around, Republicans are talking ground game, ground game, ground game. It's where you win and lose elections. 51 past the hour. You should go to Busy Bee if you need problems have problems with the air conditioning or your heater during the winter, or even maybe your plumbing systems are acting up. They're the folks I call. You know the number, 775-7833. That's the number to Busy Bee. They'll buzz right over to your hive, get you fixed up. Now, you should become a member of the Beehive Club. I am. Starts at $99, and here's what you get. 3 annual tune-ups, one aimed at heating, one aimed at cooling, one aimed at plumbing. That's preventative maintenance. That keeps your system from breaking down. You get 10% discount on repairs. You get priority front-of-the-line service. You get a $100 annual accrued replacement credit where you can build up to a maximum of 1,000. There are no overtime or holiday fees ever. And you are let in on secret, exclusive Beehive member promotions. Now, if you've got a big heating or cooling project, you think you want to get ready for next winter and get it done early because the heater's about to go, or you got an air conditioner that's on the fritz and you just need to get that thing going, and it's a big replacement project, as they sometimes are, no interest if paid in full with 15 months on approved credit. Plumbing projects, 0 to 18 months on approved credit. Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling is your official Rude Pro partner for satisfaction guaranteed. Call Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, 615-775-7833, online at busybehvac.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Let me talk to you about the folks over at DT McCall and Sons. You've seen the commercials on TV for years, and you know what good people they are. That company has been in business in Middle Tennessee for more than 100 years. 5 locations now, very convenient across Middle Tennessee. And if you haven't been to one, I just got to ask you, what's stopping you? I mean, if you need things for your home, you got to start at DT McCall and Sons. I walk through one of their places. Some of them are downright cavernous. You walk in and you just say, wow. And then you go to another corner. You have to say, wow, I think I've seen it all. Then you turn a corner and there's a whole nother area that you haven't seen before. Anything that you can imagine. You need furniture, they got it. You need appliances, I mean, they got them by the oodles. You need, let's say, electronics, a big screen TVs, something like that, right? You need something for your yard, like a mower or a zero-turn mower. I got my Cub Cadet zero-turn mower out there, and I love the thing. It's just fantastic. Whatever it is you need for your home, you owe it to yourself to start at DT McCall and Sons. And listen, again, they have a great reputation. They'll treat you right. They won't charge you extra for things like delivery setup or haul away. So just give them a call or go by their website and take a look at all the things they can do for you. DTMcCalls.com.
.501 now. I'm Mac Morey with your top stories. Currently 80 degrees, mostly sunny on Music Row. A traffic report plus that complete weather forecast headed your way 5 minutes. Another day of testimony at former President Trump's hush money trial. Derek Dennis filling us in.
No court tomorrow. Proceedings are done for the day in former President Trump's hush money trial in New York City. Trump asked to be off on Friday for his son's graduation. He'll also do some campaigning. But before leaving court, Trump tried to continue to blast the case against him.
I think it was a very interesting day. It was a fascinating day. And it shows what a scam this whole thing is.
In a sidebar at the end of the day with lawyers on both sides, the judge wanted to know how much longer, how much more testimony to go. The defense saying they'll be done with former Trump fixer Michael Cohen Monday morning, followed by a short redirect of questioning from the prosecution. But no word still on whether Trump will take the stand in his own defense on charges he falsified business records to cover up a payoff to porn star Stormy Daniels to keep her quiet about an alleged sexual encounter between she and Trump before the 2016 election.
And back here in Tennessee this afternoon, NTSB updated the public on the Williamson County plane crash that ended the lives of 3 people yesterday. Aaron McCarter filling us in on the next steps.
We're going to be on scene here for the next 24 to 48 hours. Due to the disposition of the wreckage, we're going to be transporting it up to a secured facility in Springfield, Tennessee. In fact, the salvage team, the aircraft recovery team, is already here. They are out with a group of local responders who are assisting with the wreckage gathering because it is widely dispersed. We have hilly terrain, we have water, we have flat terrain, we have farmland, and we're having to gather all those separate pieces and take them and put them together in basically a 2-dimensional or 3-dimensional layout on the hangar floor tomorrow or Saturday, which will help us determine how the airplane came apart.
He said they have drone support trying to help map that wreckage that spans about half a mile, which means the plane dismantled partially while in air. He estimated that they have about 75% of that wreckage now. They have a team of 15 people or so on the ground. Both wings, along with stabilizers and the fuselage, have been found. He described the plane as, quote, violently out of control while gaining speed on its descent. Weather and radar data, along with the pilot's experience and qualifications, are all big parts of this investigation. And full results for the investigation could take around 9 months, but they did mention weather was at least a factor in this crash. He mentioned that the local officials and emergency management team support was, quote, nearly unprecedented on a scene like this, and thanked them all. Plastic surgeon Dr. Lucius from Louisiana was confirmed to be a pilot in yesterday's crash. He was flying with 2 of his children who were set to graduate from LSU tomorrow. They were en route to Louisville, Kentucky. And that is the latest news, traffic, and weather on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Well, good afternoon. 7 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Yeah, it's a very pleasant afternoon. Oh, my gosh. 83 degrees here in bucolic Watertown. What you got there in Nashville?
I'm only 79 here.
Well, at least it's a little warm, sun shining down. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad that you're with us here on this Thursday. We want to get you home safely and bring you some news. I'll start with this. Now, we got a situation with this trial in New York. It's just an abomination of the legal process. Complete perversion of what the law is supposed to be. The law is supposed to look into, crime. We don't prosecute people, we prosecute crimes. And we're supposed to look at crimes and decide, cases without fear or favor. That's the way it's supposed to work. Lady Justice is supposed to be blind. And, you're supposed to go in there and you say, well, maybe there was a crime here, maybe not. Let's find what the facts are. And the district attorney, if they decide that there is a crime that's been committed, they go to the grand jury with evidence. I think that a district attorney has the obligation to give the grand jury, if it's a fair process, you give them both the good, the bad, and the ugly. And that includes something known as exculpatory evidence. Evidence that could be helpful or maybe help you look at the situation in another light. That simply did not happen. Now, how do we know this? Because there was a guy named Robert Costello, who was brought in. He was actually at one point the attorney to Michael Cohen. Very well-respected New York lawyer. This guy's been around. He's got prosecutor experience. He's got a lot of defense attorney experience. He was at one time Michael Cohen's attorney, but Michael Cohen has released him from his attorney-client privilege. So he can now speak about some of the things that were going on. He was brought in before Alvin Bragg's grand jury when they were considering whether or not to bring the indictments against Donald Trump. And he brought forth a lot of evidence that suggested that there wasn't a case here to be made. It's now questionable whether or not the information that he brought got presented to the grand jury at all. And then there's this whole thing about whether or not Cohen is telling the truth. Costello says, based on what the conversations that he had with Michael Cohen, it's pretty clear that Michael Cohen has been telling whoppers in the courtroom over the past few days. So, look, I never do this, but this is really worth it. If you want to understand how perverted the process has become, if you understand how they weaponize the legal system against Donald Trump, you need to invest the next 5 minutes with me. All right? This is Robert Costello appearing this morning on Fox News. He testified yesterday on Capitol Hill, but here's what he said to Fox News this morning. It is 5 minutes long. I will not interrupt it, but pay attention because it will really give you an insight to what really happened behind the scenes and how perverted this whole legal process has become.
Cohen told you, I swear to God, Bob, I don't have anything on Donald Trump. Now, you testified before Alvin Bragg's grand jury. Did you tell them what you told Congress yesterday?
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because before I testified on a Monday before the grand jury, I gave Alvin Bragg's assistant DAs the courtesy of about an hour and a half Zoom conference where I told them all of the exculpatory material that I had that they were supposed to put before the grand jury. But when I appeared before the grand jury, they were asking me questions that, in my opinion, and I've been a federal prosecutor myself, I was deputy chief of the criminal division in the Southern District of New York. Those questions they were asking me were not going to elicit the exculpatory information that I had. So I began to expand upon my answers, and the DA's office was trying to shut me down, saying that I had finished my answer. And I told them that when I'm in the middle of answering a question, I'll decide when I've finished my answer. And I asked them not to interrupt me again. But basically, they only put in a small cherry-picked group of emails. I presented maybe 200 to 300 emails and text messages to them. I had them with me, luckily, in chronological order. They put 2 or 3 into evidence. I asked them, are you going to put the rest of them into evidence? And they said no. And I said, remember, there's a court reporter there. I said, why not? They said, there's a legal issue with him. I said, what's the legal issue? And he said, hearsay. Now, first of all, hearsay is admissible in the grand jury, so that's really not an objection. But I played along with him, and I said, hearsay? Well, then pay close attention to the next 2 sentences. I said, these documents were made in the regular course of business, and it was the regular course of business to make and maintain documents such as these at or about the dates indicated. I said, now you know, and I know, but the grand jurors don't know, that makes these documents business records. And you know, and I know, but the grand jurors don't know, that business records are an exception to the hearsay rule. So are you going to put the rest of the documents into evidence? And they indicated most likely no. So I simply said to the grand jurors, I said, you people should demand these documents. You should demand to see everything in chronological order so you get a real view of what Michael Cohen was like in those days at that moment in time. I said, and then ask yourself this question. Why are they trying to keep these documents from me? Well, after that, I left the grand jury. I have no idea whether they put the documents into evidence or what happened, but subsequently, Donald Trump was indicted. And you've seen the fruits of that indictment in this trial, which is a trial about something that's not a crime. When I met with Michael Cohen on the first day at the Regency Hotel when he was suicidal by his own admission, I explained to him non-disclosure agreements, NDAs as he was calling them, I said are perfectly legal. because he kept on saying, why are they trying to put me in jail for an NDA? And I explained to him, that's not why they're trying to put you in jail. Obviously, they think you've done other things. What are they? He denied having done anything else. I didn't do anything illegal. I'm cooperating with the special counsel. I'm cooperating with Congress. Of course, he forgot to tell us that he lied to Congress. But he was desperately seeking, according to his own words, an escape route. I want you guys to tell me how I can get out of this, because he saw these enormous legal problems coming his way. They were so bad in his mind that he was willing to kill himself. And so I kept on going back and suggesting to him, listen, Michael, if you have something truthful on Donald Trump, now is the time to cooperate. And he kept on saying over and over again, 10 to 20 times, I swear to God, Bob, I don't have anything on Donald Trump. I even said to him, Michael, think about this. Isn't it easier to cooperate against Donald Trump if you have truthful information than it is to kill yourself? Well, the answer is obvious. That was his moment in time. If he had something truthful to say, I'm willing to cooperate. But he didn't take that. He kept on saying, I have nothing on Donald Trump. And then when we got into the discussion of the Stormy Daniels NDA, he said specifically, and I cross-examined him on this was my idea. It was his idea to take care of the NDA because he had been contacted by a lawyer for Stormy Daniels who said she was going to claim that Donald Trump had sex with her. Cohen said, I didn't believe the allegation, but nevertheless, it would be embarrassing to Melania. That's Michael Cohen's words. He said, and so I decided to take care of this myself.
Wow. I mean, just wow. I mean, I know that was a lot to absorb. But first of all, he talks about the perverted process before the grand jury, where the grand jury was denied access to exculpatory information that would have perhaps changed their mind about whether or not to bring these indictments. The old saying about a district attorney, a good district attorney can get a grand jury to indict a ham sandwich is true. And here's perfect evidence of it, manipulating the system behind the scenes. You know, they never thought that Costello would be able to come out and talk because of attorney-client privilege, but he was released from that. And so now he's out telling the real story of what happened behind the scenes and how perverted the entire legal process was. On that question about whether or not, the information should have been given to the grand jury, here's what Jonathan Turley had to say.
And for the prosecutors to be cutting off a witness to try to keep information from the grand jury is quite telling, and it says a lot about what we're seeing in this case. I mean, Costello is a powerful witness, obviously. He was the deputy chief of the criminal division at the Southern District of New York. He's got the chops. He's a major player in the New York legal scene. And he was shocked, and I don't blame him.
Yeah, well, I'm shocked too. Well, not really, because I know exactly what this is. This is not a trial. This is a political persecution. This is lawfare. This is weaponizing the legal system for political purposes, which we've seen this Biden administration do time after time after time. Now, the other part of it has to do with his talks with Michael Cohen, who said repeatedly, did you hear him say, I asked him like 20 times, if you got something, this is the time to reveal it. And he said, I don't have anything. It was my idea. I did this. In fact, Michael Cohen, we later found out, took out a home equity loan to come up with the money to pay off Stormy Daniels because he felt like it was something that would have embarrassed Melania, and he wanted to avoid that. He did it on his own and did not notify Donald Trump of everything that was going on. Donald Trump gets asked to pay some legal bills, and he signs his name to legal bills. I'm telling you, this trial stinks to high heaven. Now, I've listened to Turley, and I've listened to Andrew McCarthy and Dershowitz and some of the best legal minds in this country who care about the law and not so much about the personalities involved. And they say that, look, if this were a fair and honest judge, The defense should immediately ask for a mistrial, and one should be given, or a directed verdict, and one should be granted. In other words, the judge should bypass the jury and say, I'm sorry, but I just can't let this go forward. They didn't prove any of the facts, and give a directed verdict. That sometimes happens. A judge has that authority, not this judge, because this judge is a political hack. Daughter is deeply involved in raising money for Democrats, etc. There's no doubt about where his loyalties lie. So, look, today is the 18th day of the trial. It's unfair to Donald Trump. This is election interference at its best. For 18 days, Donald Trump has not been able to go and undo what he should be doing right now, which is be on the campaign trail holding rallies. He's got to be in that courtroom enduring this. And it's really all designed just to sort of dredge up a bunch of garbage that we've already heard before. It didn't have any impact the first time. Not going to have any impact this time. I think they've overshot. I think they have overstated their case. I think the American people realize this is what it is, which is a political persecution, a political show trial. And even if they don't get a win on this, they will have accomplished a lot just by keeping Donald Trump off the campaign trail. It's ugly. By the way, Cohen is the last witness of the prosecution. There will probably be a little bit more cross-examination of him on Monday. Then the defense gets their turn. I think the defense should cut their losses and say, look, the case has not been proven. We could waste everybody's time here, but we don't think the case has been proven. This is a documents case, and there's nothing that the former president has done that's illegal. But it probably is not going to go much longer. And then we wait for the jury. 21 past the hour. You know, the chairman for the Federal Reserve has said we're on an unsustainable fiscal path. They just are never going to pay off that $34 trillion debt anytime soon. You know what they'll do. They'll print money to pay interest on the debt and weaken the dollar. Maybe it's time to think about other kinds of investments. Maybe you've thought about adding gold or other precious metals to your portfolio, but you feel like you don't have the knowledge you need to make a smart decision. Well, that's the way I felt, but I got the professional guidance I needed at Nashville Gold and Coin. How many times have you heard someone describe something as being the gold standard? When it comes to finding an investment that protects you from runaway inflation, gold is the gold standard. It's a tried and true store of value consistent across generations. Here's the way it works. You make an appointment and you sit down one-on-one with my friends at Nashville Gold and Coin. They'll answer all your questions and help you make the precious metals investment that is right for you. It's friendly. You'll learn a ton. You'll never be subjected to a high-pressure sales pitch. You see, gold and silver can be a safe haven in uncertain economic times. And my friends at Nashville Gold and Coin are standing by to answer all your questions about the precious metals market. To set up that one-on-one appointment, just go to NashvilleGoldandCoin.com. That's NashvilleGoldandCoin.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Updates on that deadly plane crash in Williamson County from yesterday. We've got news on a wrong-way crash that happened today. That as well was fatal. Plus, marijuana reclassified now as a Schedule III drug. That coming up, 5:30, Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
Well, let's do this.
Spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of sport. The thrill of victory. And the agony of defeat.
It's time for Mac Morey's wide, wild, weird, wacky, wonderful world of sports. And now, here without further ado, you know him, you love him. Here's our good friend, Mac Morey.
Woo! Oh, yeah. Hey, Titans fans, listen up. We know who you're playing now.
Yeah, we finally have all that out.
Oh, yeah, finally.
All 16 games?
17. Yes,
17
sir.
games?
Hang
Yes,
on,
sir.
hang on. All right, we got to get the stinger in.
Have to. I mean, that's a requirement for the wacky, wonderful, weird, woeful. No, not woeful. We don't want to be woeful. Okay, so let's get into it. Titans' full 17-game schedule has been released. We knew, really, all that we knew yesterday confirmed was that Bears was week 1. You're playing the number 1 overall pick in Caleb Williams at Soldier Field, the Bears. Now we have everything else confirmed. So I don't want to go through the whole schedule because that's just going to be long. But I'm just going to name kind of top 3 games that I'm excited for. Bears would be on that list, but we talked about that. So let's do the 3 others that I'm most excited for. Really, week 2.
I'm up, brother. Okay, here we go.
Week 2 would be what I'm on the top 3 because they are going to host right here in Nissan Stadium Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets. That was leaked, but it has been confirmed. That's exciting. I mean, New York Jets.
Catch him early before he gets knocked out for the season. That's my.
Before 40-year-old Rodgers can't deal with it anymore. We'll see. We'll see how the Jets are going to be early on in the season. Again, that's a team that I'd rather play later on, but get them early on, and that is going to be at noon. I believe it's 14 of the 17 games so far slated for noon. There's one primetime game for the Titans. Yeah, It's going to be noon. And coming, I know most Titans fans are like, what? I want primetime games, and I know it's cool to watch your team in primetime. And I'm not even trying to sound like a snob here, but as a Kansas City Chiefs fan, I'm telling you, I miss the days where most of my games were at noon. It's every week. It's like, okay, I got to wait till 7:30. Okay, I'm staying up late again tonight. Like,
you're spending your whole Sunday waiting for the game. Waiting.
Yeah. It gets a little boring. So I have that in my top 3. The Titans have played the Dolphins just last year, but it was that primetime game. Remember when they were down? Most everyone went to sleep, and then they have this miraculous comeback.
Yes, that was amazing.
It was incredible at Miami. Well, Miami's going to get the chance again to exact their vengeance on Tennessee. It will be at Miami. That's their one primetime game, September 30th. That's going to be week 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is right before the Titans bye week. Another downside to the season, a week 5 bye. They're going to play early. 13 straight football games without a break. Wow. That's
you
tough.
always like it when it falls a little later in the season.
Yes, you'd love it. That week 9, week 10, maybe even later, is great. So that's something that maybe didn't fall great for the Titans. And honestly, that's something that the NFL needs to figure out. If you care so much about player safety, you shouldn't be playing 3 straight months of football without a break. That's just me. They'll add an extra game.
Why don't they just take everybody just take 1 week off in the middle of the season?
I was just saying that to someone else. The NBA has an all-star break. We should have some sort of all-star break for the NFL. 1 week, everyone's
Baseball does
off.
it too.
Baseball does
Hockey
it.
does it.
Exactly. And I know we're not playing 82 football games or 162 football games, but come on, this is a challenging and sport that just gets you battered and bruised up. So you need those times to just rest. If they care so much about player safety, there should be another week there where they get the rest, in my opinion. Third on this list, I believe it's 4 out of the last 5 seasons the Titans have played the Bengals either in the regular season or in the playoffs. Titans have fared well against them in the regular season. Obviously, it was that 3-interception game from Ryan Tannehill in the playoffs that ended their hopes of that season just a few years ago against Joe Burrow and the Bengals. That was the year that the Bengals went on to go lose in the Super Bowl to the Los Angeles Rams. Well, they kicked the crap out of the Bengals last year when Joe Burrow was still healthy early on in the season. They'll look to do that again this year, but it will be later. It'll be week, 18, 17, 16. It'll be week 15. It'll be week 15. Late on in the season, December 15th. That is a noon game. That'll be right here, Nissan Stadium, taking on Joe Burrow and the Bengals. So that's going to be a fun one. Their strength of schedule, which this is a stat that I don't think really matters. You have 25 to 48% roster turnover for most of these teams. So when you look at their last year's record, how much does it really matter? It's a whole new team. But the Titans' opponents for 2024 posted 142 and 147 record last year, which is good for just under 500 winning percentage. So not too bad. 10th easiest schedule in the league, just as far as that statistic is concerned.
Really?
Yeah. So we'll see how this goes for the Titans. New identity, new coach, new coordinators, and a lot of new players. So it's exciting stuff.
I'm anxious to see how they put it all together, whether they can get something that gels.
Yes.
It'll be fun. Yeah. All right.
So now just a little over 3 months to wait?
Yeah, no, we just got to wait. Exactly. Yes, exactly.
All right. 31 past the hour. Time for the news.
5:31, I'm Mac Morey with your top story. 79 degrees and sunny in Nashville. Traffic report and a weather forecast in 5 minutes. Right now in the Volunteer State, Channel 4, Steve Mailing brings us more information on yesterday's fatal plane crash in Williamson County.
They've estimated about 75% of the plane has been found so far. Now, NTSB officials say they look at three elements for this crash: the human, the machine, and the environment. But they say a majority of this investigation, it actually goes on behind the scenes as they piece all these factors back together. Once again, all three people on board have died as a result of this crash. As Lauren Tracy just mentioned, two students from LSU set to graduate tomorrow, and their father, a surgeon from Baton Rouge.
And Aaron McCarter, NTSB spokesperson, said that they have drone support trying to help map this wreckage with a team of 15 people or so on the ground as well. They have both the wings so far, along with the stabilizers and the fuselage, the main portions of this plane. Weather and radar data, along with the pilot's experience and qualification, will be big parts of this investigation. Full results for the investigation could take 9 months. They did mention weather as a factor in this crash. And he mentioned that the local officials and emergency management team support was, quote, nearly unprecedented on a scene such as yesterday's, and he thanked all of them. Staying here in Tennessee right now, 54-year-old Roger Rowland died today in a wrong-way crash on I-65, happened around 2:30 a.m. near the Vietnam Veterans Boulevard exit. Rowland was driving his truck south in a northbound lane when he hit a semi head-on. The driver of that semi transported to Skyline Medical Center. Non-life-threatening injuries. A blood sample from Rowland will be tested to determine if he was impaired during this fatal crash. And the process continues towards reclassifying marijuana as a less dangerous drug. A big step today from the Justice Department. Karen Travers.
The Justice Department today took its formal step toward reclassifying marijuana from a Schedule I drug alongside heroin and ecstasy to a Schedule III drug like steroids and testosterone, submitting notice of this potential change. A 60-day public comment period will soon begin. The final scheduling decision on marijuana is up to the Justice Department. President Biden has long supported this step. In a new social media post, he calls this announcement, quote, monumental, and says it's a, quote, important move towards reversing long-standing inequities.
And that is the latest news. Weather, traffic on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
The Guaranteed Offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
So are your retirement assets structured to minimize taxes? That may be hard for you to believe, but many hardworking Americans like you could be overpaying on taxes in retirement. You could be taxed on your IRA, your 401k, and any other tax-deferred retirement accounts. Beacon Capital Management has a plan to give you peace of mind. With the threat of massive tax increases just around the corner, your nest egg could be in trouble unless you take advantage of defensive tax-saving strategies now. Defend your hard-earned retirement savings by scheduling a free retirement tax reduction analysis today. No cost, no pressure, no obligation. If you've saved more than $250,000 for retirement, don't wait any longer. Schedule your free retirement tax reduction analysis from Beacon. Just call this number, 615-488-9303, or visit askbeaconnow.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
It is 38 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Brian Wilson in the chair. This is just breaking news here on Super Talk 99.7, but I want to get your take on it. So the phone lines are open at 615-737-9986. The Biden administration is taking a step toward reclassifying marijuana as a lower-risk substance. Opening for public comment its proposed loosening of federal rules in a step that President Biden has deemed to be monumental. Monumental. So here's my question. Does it change anything for you? I mean, are you for it? Are you against it? You got to understand that in America today, about half of the people, half the states in the country have some form of either medical marijuana or legalization of marijuana. And so my question for you is, does this change anything for you? And would you like to see things changed here in the state of Tennessee? It's been brought up before the state legislature time and time and time again. And one of the things that you hear from state legislators is, well, as long as it's a Schedule I drug, I don't see us making any changes. Are you ready for legalization of marijuana in Tennessee? 615-737-9986. 9986. While you're doing that, let me read the rest of this information. Today, the president said, my administration took a major step to reclassify marijuana from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 3 drug. It's an important move toward reversing long-standing inequities. It was Biden's first time speaking out about the proposed rescheduling since his Justice Department recommended in April that marijuana be rescheduled as a Schedule 3 controlled substance, a classification shared by prescription drugs such as ketamine and Tylenol with codeine. Wow. The proposed changes would amount to significant changes to federal marijuana law and could provide a political boost to the president at a moment where he is working to bolster his appeal, especially among young voters. Biden has already pardoned federal marijuana offenders and urged individual state governors to take similar steps. So today's announcement builds on the work we've already done to pardon a record number of federal offenses for simple possession of marijuana. It adds to the actions we're taking. Basically, the Democrats are all about legalization of marijuana. They are got a real problem with young voters. Biden does. This is another one of those things that he's hoping will bring young people back into the fold. 615-737-9986. Frank and Gallatin, start us off. You're on with Brian on the drive. So, Frank, does this change anything for you with regard to marijuana? Because the state legislature has said, hey, as long as it's a Schedule 1, it's probably not going to happen. But now that this is apparently fait accompli, does it change anything for you?
No. I'm 64 years old, and I have partaken to or have smoked pot, and there is nothing wrong with it. It's better than alcohol. Everybody wants to say it's a gateway drug. Caffeine, alcohol, and nicotine are your gateway drugs. Make it like alcohol. I mean, you can't just walk up and down the street smoking a joint or something like that, but, if you're at home or somewhere like that, fine and dandy. I see.
Would you put an age limit on it?
Yes, definitely. Just like alcohol.
21.
21, because it does mess with you. It does make you drunk,
There have been studies, Frank, and I'm just playing devil's advocate here. Have been studies that suggest that habitual use of marijuana can lead, and this is the relatively new studies that have been done, can lead to feelings of paranoia and distress and anxiety among some people.
I was a paramedic for 20 years. In my 20 years as a paramedic, I have never transported somebody ODing on THC. Never had anybody die.
But that's a very different thing than having psychological impacts from the drug.
Alcohol does the same thing to you. Alcohol can make you paranoid. It can lead to problems with your brain if you drink too much, liver, kidneys, all sorts of good things. Seems like kids nowadays already have enough. They have problems as it is with not knowing what a hard day's work is sometimes. There's a lot of them out there that work their butts off and do a good job. A lot of them in the military do it. But I think they should legalize it and make it like alcohol.
Frank, I got a lot of people who want to get way in there. Thank you for your call. Larry in Clarksville, you're up next on the drive. Phone lines are open at 615-737-9986. What's your thought, Larry?
Well, Brian, I kind of agree with Frank on some things, but I smoked a joint once when I was 17, and it made me want to start listening to WTN every damn day, all day long. No, but on a serious note, for medical purposes, I do think they should legalize it. I think there's still a whole lot of unknowns out there about just making it legal, period. But if they decide to do that, I would definitely want it to be 21 and over.
All right, Larry, thank you very much. I'm going to try to plow through some of these calls. Danny in Lebanon, you're up next on the drive. What do you say, Danny?
Yeah, Brian, I'm with Frank also, about legalizing it, especially for medically. But the gateway, I was going to talk about that real quick. I was a marijuana user, and because I kept failing drug tests for 30 days at a time because it stays in your system for 30 days at a time.
Yeah.
That's when I learned that, I eventually went to rehab for other issues, but I learned that cocaine was in my system for 3 days. So that told me, well, I can party on Friday night, be clean by Monday. And same, so I mean, that was how it was a gateway drug for me. And I ended up going back to rehab for cocaine, and I went back and learned I could cook that stuff. Thank God I'm over all of it, and today successful truck driver, so I don't mess with.
So when you hear somebody say it's not a gateway drug, in your experience, it was.
Absolutely, 100%. Because there's a lot of people that turn to other substances, for either the high or just for the escape of the moment. And alcohol, alcohol. Yeah, I've never seen anybody smoke a joint and want to beat the hell out of somebody. And as far as the studies go, study Willie Nelson. He's doing pretty well yet so far.
Yeah, he's 91 years old. Yeah. All right, Danny. Thank you so much. I think though Willie, I read that he quit smoking. That's what I read somewhere. All right, Linda in Sparta, you're up next on the drive. Linda, what do you think?
Well, I'm a retired teacher, and for years they had us teach our students that marijuana was a gateway drug, so why would we want to open the gate?
Yeah, so you have real concerns about this, having had a career in which you worked with young people.
Yes. Why would we want to open the door to harder drugs?
All right. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Mark in Lafayette. Hey, Mark, what do you think about all this? You're up next.
How you doing? With that, I really don't think it's a gateway drug. After I got out of the military, the VA was always trying to, pump down pills on us, when we were hurting from the pain that we've received from the military, where I'm airborne. My knees have gone to crap. And I kept going to the VA over and over to, alleviate that pain. And then I had a cousin in the medical field said, have you ever thought about switching over and trying, marijuana or THC? I said, no. So when I did start doing that, that my body did not hurt for about 3.5 days. And where I was taking a pain pill from the VA, I was taking it every morning and night. My body would still hurt.
Yeah.
And I took it at least twice a week.
I'm going to tell you, I do hear from a lot of people, and in fact, I did some of the CBD stuff when I was having some pain last year in that horrible bout of shingles that I had. I did some CBD, and the gummies, as they say, which are legal. I didn't break any laws. I would never do that. But these were legal, and it helped me. So you made me stop and think maybe there is something to the pain element of it all. I would never smoke a joint. I've never smoked a cigarette, so never smoked a cigar. Just have no interest in doing that at all. But I do wonder, when I hear people say, "Oh man, I was in chronic pain, and this was the only thing that really resolved it." That does resonate with me, I'll have to say. Mark, thank you for the call. Lindsay in Pleasant Shade, what do you say, Lindsay? You're up with Brian on the drive.
Hey, Brian. I say I don't think it's a gateway drug. I think everybody needs to put their big girl and boy pants on. Are we going to have the prohibition around here? I think people need to be adults and have their age limit and say they're going to use it medically, or if they want to use it for entertainment, fine. I
got to just ask. I got to ask you one question though, because every time this comes in the state legislature, it just gets shot down. And look, when you say, well, it gets shot down by the politicians, well, the politicians obviously are voting in a way that they think that their electorate wants them to vote. So why do you think they keep shooting it down and won't allow it to be considered in the state of Tennessee? They obviously are answering to some constituency when they do that.
Some, I imagine. I don't think enough voices are out there. because I'm right smack in the middle of Tennessee, and there are enough good old boys and enough tobacco shops that all think this is a matter of personal freedom.
All right, fair enough. Thank you for that, Lindsay. Marie's up next out of Nashville. Hey, Marie, what do you think?
Yeah, love your show. I'm glad that it worked for you, and I'm glad that you got to experience that a little bit because you can kind of have a different outlook.
Well, I mean, I just want to make sure everybody understands. I did not take marijuana. I took, absolutely. Okay, go ahead.
Definitely understand. And yeah, I took care of somebody for about 3 years that was suffering from throat cancer, and the only relief that he had was the use of that. And he never thought that he would ever find himself doing that, but it actually, the last 6 months of his life was painless. He was, never felt anything. So I witnessed it, that it absolutely did work for him. And I feel like the police and everybody really need to concentrate on the molesters and the predators.
Yeah, but I don't think the police are really prosecuting that. I mean, I don't think they do anything about it this much anymore. I mean, if you're selling a big amount of it, yeah, maybe they'll crack down. But I mean, just if you got a couple ounces on you, I don't even know if they bothered to write the ticket anymore.
Oh, and the people, look at how many people with alcohol. I mean, we kind of overlook that, but we're just losing people, thousands of people a year to alcohol deaths, of people getting behind the wheel with alcohol, and we don't even think twice about it. I feel that it's okay to actually legalize it. A lot of the states that have legalized it don't really seem to have any problems. People are more serene on it, and that caller was right. I've never really seen people violent on that, but boy, you give them opiates or alcohol, and you're at another level. So,
all right. All right, yeah. I got to run because our time is up. But listen, thank you so much for participating. Look, I think it's probably going to come up again in the state legislature next time around because of if this change goes through, and it's pretty clear it will be. 52 past the hour now. You know that they're never going to pay off that $34 trillion debt anytime soon. And you know what they'll do? They'll just print a bunch of money. They will pay off the interest on the debt and continue to rack up the debt and then weaken the U.S. dollar in the process. So listen, maybe you need to think about something else. How many times have you heard someone describe something as being the gold standard? Well, when it comes to finding an investment that protects you from runaway inflation, gold is the gold standard. It's a tried and true store of value consistent across generations. Maybe you've thought about adding gold or other precious metals to your portfolio, but you feel like you need some guidance. That's the way I felt. I got the professional guidance I needed at Nashville Gold and Coin. Listen, you just call them up, make an appointment, and you'll sit down one-on-one. They'll answer all your questions and help you make the precious metals investment that is right for you. It's friendly. You'll learn a lot. You'll never be subjected to a high-pressure sales pitch. Gold and silver can be that safe haven in uncertain economic times. My friends at Nashville Gold and Coin are standing by to answer all your questions about the precious metals market. To set up that one-on-one appointment, just go to NashvilleGoldandCoin.com. That's NashvilleGoldandCoin.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
6:01, I'm Mac Maury with your top story. 78 degrees in Nashville, a sunny day. Latest traffic report, weather forecast, 5 minutes. Right now, we're receiving updates on that Williamson County plane crash that was fatal into the lives of 3 people. NTSB updating us. Aaron McCarter filling us in on these next steps.
We're going to be on scene here for the next 24 to 48 hours. Due to the disposition of the wreckage, we're going to be transporting it up to a secured facility in Springfield, Tennessee. In fact, the salvage team, the aircraft recovery team, is already here. They are out with a group of local responders who are assisting with the wreckage gathering because it is widely dispersed. We have hilly terrain, we have water, we have flat terrain, we have farmland, and we're having to gather all those separate pieces and take them and put them together in basically a 2-dimensional or 3-dimensional layout on the hangar floor tomorrow or Saturday, which will help us determine how the airplane came apart.
They've also got drone support trying to help out map the wreckage from up above. This wreckage spans over a half a mile, which means the plane dismantled partially while in air. He estimated that they have about 75% of that wreckage. Team of 15 people or so on the ground. Both wings, along with stabilizers and the fuselage, have been gathered up. He described this plane as, quote, violently out of control while gaining speed on its descent. Weather and radar data, along with the pilot's experience and qualifications, will all be big parts of this investigation. Full results could take 9 months, but they did mention weather was at least a factor in the crash. And he also shouted out the local officials and emergency management teams there in Franklin. He said the support was, quote, nearly unprecedented on a scene like yesterday's. We are hearing about these victims too. Plastic surgeon Dr. Lucius from Louisiana was confirmed to be the pilot in yesterday's crash. He was flying with 2 of his children who were set to graduate from LSU tomorrow. They were en route to Louisville, Kentucky. Now over to the nation's capital by a vote of 224 to 187. The House has passed a bill calling for the expeditious transfer of weapons to Israel. Stephen Portnoy.
The bill passed the House with 16 Democrats voting in favor. The measure condemns the White House's recent decision to pause a shipment of heavy bombs to Israel, and it directs the Pentagon to, quote, ensure prompt delivery of all the weapons Israel expects this fiscal year and next. But this measure is dead on arrival in the Democratic-controlled Senate, especially since the White House has issued a formal veto threat.
And that is the latest news. Traffic and weather on the way. I'm Mac Maury, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Good evening, everybody. It is 6:07 on Super Talk 99.7. Brian Wilson in the chair. Glad you're with us as we get you home for time for dinner. We're having grouper at our house tonight. I'm very excited. Yeah, grouper.
Sounds good.
Grouper. Anyway, that's what I hear. I generally find out what's for dinner because for some reason, Cabana wife prints off all of her recipes on my work printer here. And so I'm going through and I'm looking for important stuff for this program. In the middle of it comes up a recipe for grouper.
You go, oh, well, that's what's for dinner.
So apparently I'm grouper for dinner tonight. So that's how I find out what's for dinner. And then, she expects that I'm going to bring that over to her during the commercial break.
That's the least you could do. She's fixing your dinner.
If I'm going to get dinner, I suppose I better deliver the recipe, right? No, I'm not complaining. Chow around this place is pretty good. I'm going to go through a bunch of stuff here that in our last hour that I think is important, especially for people in Nashville right now and people who work in Nashville. This is going to be a big deal. And I promise you that as we get closer and closer to this, and as I am able to do more and more study into it, we'll get into it in a bigger way. But the mayor of Nashville, Freddie O'Connell, is asking the people of Nashville to pony up $3.1 billion. Now, they make it sound like it won't be all that bad. Yeah, it's $3.1 billion. But what they said, don't worry about it. It won't be a big deal because we're actually going to be, doing this through a 0.5% increase in the sales tax. Half a penny, basically. And that's an awful lot of half pennies to raise $3.1 billion. I don't know how that all adds up. You know how I am about math, but something about that sounds a little too easy, right? It's just a half a penny, and we'll get $3.1 billion. More on that in a moment. Channel 5 sat down with Fast Freddie O'Connell, our mayor, and to learn more about the transit plan. And here's the pull quote from it. This is a comprehensive transportation program. It's not just a bus program. It's not just sidewalks. There's something in it for everyone. Well, see, that's exactly what Democrats like to do. We're gonna meet all the needs of all the people, whether or not it makes any sense or not. And so I have some concerns. In this story, there is one paragraph that just jumps out at me. The full estimated price tag, $3.1 billion, with another $111 million in recurring annual costs. And then there's this. Almost half of that would be paid for with a 0.5-cent increase in the local sales tax. Well, okay, what about the other half? Am I missing something here? Maybe the story's just incomplete. Maybe they have the answer, but I don't see it in the story. Mayor O'Connell's job is now to convince taxpayer it's a worthwhile investment. 86 miles of sidewalk. Okay. If the problem is getting people to and from work, and making sure that that the traffic is managed better. How about more roads rather than more sidewalks? That doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me. Sidewalks. Why are we spending so much money on 86 miles of sidewalks, 54 miles of upgraded transit corridors, 12 connecting community transit centers, and new technology? Now, this part I do like and I support, although I have a question about it. 600 traffic signals across town. That's not the full list, of course, but honestly, I can tell you right now, smart traffic, if it's done well, and that's the question, will it be done well, can really help with the flow of traffic. They need to be more dynamic. They need to be smarter. They need to use artificial intelligence to move people quickly around town. I'm all in favor of some of that. But the question is whether or not we can pay for it. I mean, all I hear is a half penny in the sales tax, half penny in the sales tax, $3.1 billion, and $111 million in recurring cost is only going to cost us a half penny in the sales tax? I don't know that I believe that. Again, I'll tell you, numbers are not my forte, but that seems like an awful lot of expense that you're going to get out of a half penny in the sales tax. What am I missing here? Ben Cunningham, who's the founder of the Nashville's Tea Party, is not at all happy about this, and he's been speaking to the Tennessee Star on a regular basis. And his point is that O'Connell's plan, he believes, is illegal under the Improve Act, as the law only allows certain counties to increase taxes through a voter referendum for mass transit systems. Now, that would be the bus routes, but not for installing simple projects such as sidewalks and traffic signals, which should be part of a city's budget. So he's got an issue with that. So he's raising questions also about the funding. Cunningham also offered solutions to bypass the 3.1 transit plan. So many things you can do. You can go to corporate citizens downtown, people like Amazon and Oracle and Alliance Bernstein, all of the big companies, and you can say to them, hey, guys, we need your help to help reduce traffic congestion. We need you to start staggering your start times. Well, that's a brilliant idea. I don't know why we don't do that. We need you to start staggering your start times. We need you to start scheduling employees so that there's staggered start times and staggered release times. I think mornings are different, I think, than afternoon drive. Mornings are, people, have to be at work at different times. Some people got to be at 6. Some people got to be at 7. Some people got to be at 8. Some people got to be there by 10. So they're trickling in throughout the morning. To me, it seems like 7:30 is probably your peak time. You know what the peak time for traffic in the Nashville area is? I happen to know this, Chris, because I did the research. I wanted to know when I had the most people in a car listening to the radio. Potentially.
4:30?
4:30.
Yeah.
I would have guessed it was more like 5:30.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's probably from 4:30 to about 5:30, which is sort of the peak. But 4:30 is actually the peak time for traffic. And that was pre-pandemic. I haven't looked at it lately, but I doubt that it's changed. So anyway, I want to assure you that as we get closer and closer, when they're asking you to raise the taxes, I think they need to be a little more transparent about where all of this money is coming from. Maybe it's from grants, and it's not detailed in these stories. But I need to get more information. I would really welcome having the mayor on to talk about this because, look, if he's got a good plan, then let's just work out the details. Help me understand it a little better. I don't have anything against the mayor, and I don't have anything against the idea of trying to do something about traffic. I just wonder if this is going to be the thing that really gets it done. And I think they're underselling it. That's the thing that really concerns me. Chronic homeless in Nashville has grown by 43% in the past year. That's scary. In March of 23, numbers from Metro government show a little more than 1,000 people experienced chronic homelessness in Nashville. However, this year, the number rose by 43% to more than 1,400 people. In Nashville, in Davidson County, we have a homeless population of about 1,500 people. The city, this is from the Fox 17. They quote Barry Dupnick, who's been cleaning up homeless encampments citywide for more than a year. And fortunately, every time we go down there, the camp, you just see more and more people coming from either different cities or different camps around the Nashville area. He says he's seen it all from drugs to trash to human waste. The city lets them grow to this massive size until they become a hazard and an issue in which they shut them down, which, if we can combat that to try to nip it in the bud earlier rather than later, that's what I'm trying to help prevent larger issues in the future. 24%. It's on tap with national stuff, and it's not surprising given the economy and how in Biden's economic world, more and more people are being priced out of their home. Rent up 20% since Joe Biden took office on average. And in Nashville, if you can't live downtown, and then you get out to the suburbs, it's not much better. I mean, renting a place is expensive, and nobody these days can afford to buy with interest rates at 7%. A lot of people are putting that off. Did you feel the earthquake? Well, I don't think we felt it in our area.
No.
An earthquake struck a small town in West Tennessee early Thursday morning. It could be felt across 3 states. It was 3.8 magnitude. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, it was considered minor, about 100,000 earthquakes a year of that size. Who knew? They're often felt with some noticeable shaking, don't usually cause too much damage. This is close to the New Madrid's fault line. This is what worries me. A seismic zone that encompasses parts of 7 American states, including Illinois, Missouri, Arkansas, Kentucky, Tennessee, and to a lesser extent, Mississippi and Indiana. When the New Madrid fault really breaks loose, you won't have any problem knowing that it's happened. It's going to be an ugly affair. It's 2 things that I think that are pending seismic events. One is the dome in Yellowstone. When that sucker blows, it's going to be a mess. And I think the other one is when the New Madrid fault really has a big break. That one, people say, will be devastating. That's, again, one of the reasons why I think it's a good idea to sort of plan just in case, huh? Put a little money in the safe. Get some of that freeze-dried food. Some of them Dan Mandis pancakes. That's what we need. 20 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock. Have you noticed how unreliable things have become these days when someone tells you it'll be ready at 4 and you get there at 4 and guess what? It's not ready. People are tired of that stuff. If you've had it with unreliable vehicle repair shops, come to Eurofix. Eurofix turns unreliable into reliable. Eurofix will have your vehicle ready when it's said they're going to make it ready. You don't have to stand around tapping your toe waiting, losing your time, losing your mind. Eurofix repairs all European cars with quality that beats the dealer without dealer pricing. That's because dealer repair shops are designed to pay virtually all of a dealership's overhead. That's a lot of money. Why would you want to pay for that? At Eurofix, reliable also means a 3-year nationwide warranty, plus a free loaner car with every repair appointment. Make sure you call ahead, as loaner cars are very popular. If you're tired of unreliable repair shops, why don't you come to where it is reliable? Eurofix, family-owned for 24 years. Call 844-EUROFIX or visit myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number 1, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number 2, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Chris, it's the end of civilization as we know it now. I mean, the world's just going to hell is what's happening.
Well, we can have that big earthquake now? What's happening?
No. Then this has to do with, McDonald's.
Okay.
The happy place. The days, according to the Gray News Service and WSMV, the days of free refills may be over at McDonald's. I know. Is that what we call? Well, now why can't I? Well, I hate it when that doesn't work. Let's pretend. Hey, let's try that again.
This is take 2. And good luck with your performance.
That's right. They're going to stop free refills at McDonald's. Yeah, apparently, according to Marketplace report, McDonald's will phase out its self-serve soda machines by 2032. Oh, we got a little time.
They're giving us some notice, at least.
At that time, individual McDonald's locations can decide whether or not to charge for refills. Some McDonald's locations have already removed the self-serve beverage machines, and customers are taking notice. They launched it in 2004 with the goal of making the dining experience easier for guests to serve themselves. I just want to go over and get my own soda. I don't need you to pour me a soda.
And then when you want more, you got to stand in line and wait. You can avoid all that. Yeah.
Just go over there and do it. It's always a mess over there, though. I will say that. It's a sticky mess.
Yeah.
But anyway, if you're going to get you some DP, you just go over there and you fill up your ice and you just do it. And if you want to fill up your cup on the way out the door, nobody's looking. Nobody cares. But apparently, I'm guessing it apparently they say it has to do with cleaning and upkeep, and that the machines are expensive and significant. But the actual cost of the soda, I looked it up.
Can't be very much.
Guess what is the most expensive part of the soda?
I'd say the CO2.
No.
No?
No, you're going to be shocked by this. 12 cents for the soda. 7 cents for the cup. 1 penny for the lid. The most expensive item is the 15 cents for the straw.
Are you kidding me?
I can't imagine why a straw would be that expensive, but that's what they say.
Wow. 15 cents?
15 cents. That's right.
Well, they should just get rid of, leave the drinks, but just get rid of straws. Who needs a straw anyway? I don't need a straw.
Yeah, I mean, you drink it out of the top. Why do you have to have a straw? Well, women like straws.
They do, yes. I don't care for straws, personally.
Look, I mean, I will say my one guilty pleasure, and I just can't give it up, is Dr. Pepper. Mm-hmm. I mean, I love a good Dr. Pepper now and then. It's part of the, upbringing in Texas. Everybody in Texas likes Dr. Pepper. It came from Waco.
Mm-hmm.
And there's actually, in Waco, Texas, there is a Dr. Pepper museum. I've been there.
Do you get free samples?
Oh, yeah. I mean, and I'm telling you, the one thing about it is anything that has Dr. Pepper on it, you can get it there at the Dr. Pepper Museum. But it's worth the trip to Waco. Either that or the other thing in Waco that's very cool is the Texas Rangers Museum.
Ooh, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. And those nice people who refurbish homes, I forget their names. But I end up watching them a lot on Saturday morning when Cabana Wife has gotten control of the TV. There's these two people who rebuild homes and for people.
Yeah. I know who you're talking about. I don't know their names, though.
I like those people. I can't remember their names, but I end up watching a lot of that. There's a lot to like in Waco. Now, actually, no, there's not that much to like in Waco.
Just a couple things.
I used to have to go to Waco all the time, to cover Bush when he would go to his ranch, and they would put us in a school just outside Waco while he was at the ranch because you always have to have reporters nearby, and so I got the ranch duty a lot of times. It was usually pretty boring because not much happens there. One day I found out that the Motor City Madman, what's his name? Cat Scratch Fever.
Oh, Ted Nugent.
Ted Nugent.
Yeah.
He has the ranch right behind Bush.
Huh.
And one day he showed up and did an interview with the governor. The governor showed up and Ted Nugent was with him. So we just interviewed both. It was sort of an interesting day. So anyway, there's that. But beyond that, it really was not a very good duty, except for the one night when they invited us out to the ranch for dinner, and Bush drove me and some other reporters around in a pickup truck.
I bet that was fun.
Yeah, that was fun. That's pretty cool.
Did he have Dr. Pepper?
No, he didn't have any Dr. Pepper, and he drank near beer.
That's a missed opportunity.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't drink anymore. At 6:30 now, past the hour. It's time for the news. Let me tell you about the folks over at Grace Point Healthcare. Grace Point Healthcare is actually the standard for affordable, comprehensive, and convenient medicine. As a direct pay provider, your health care is delivered without the red tape of an insurer's guidelines. Do you really want your insurance company to be in the middle of your health care decisions? Isn't it better just to be between you and the doc? That's what they do over there. Smart Care plans make it even more affordable. They start at $69 a month. You get free office visits and free basic labs for an entire year. Grace Point identifies and treats the root causes of conditions, not just the symptoms, utilizing a comprehensive and functional approach. And usually by seeing you the same or next day, you're treated at your convenience. Grace Point Healthcare, affordable, comprehensive, and convenient medicine delivered the old-fashioned way. located on Main Street in Franklin. Here's the number, 615-599-6868. That's 599-6868 to schedule a visit.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
It's it's 37 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99. So we're just talking about that last segment. We started out talking about, what was it? We started talking about how they were not going to give you free refills, and somehow we ended up talking about Waco, Texas. I mean, that thing meandered all over the place.
It's just wandering around.
And wandering around, just stream of consciousness. That's what happens late in the show when you get punchy. I think I'm off in the rabbit hole here, digging up information about fountain sodas. You know what the markup for a restaurant fountain soda is? It's about 1,100%.
Ooh.
What they charge you for what it actually costs them.
I think they can afford to give us a free refill.
I think they give us a free soda. I mean, we ought to be able to fill it up on the way out. I don't know. You start when you start doing away with the free refills. That's just not right.
I think that may get changed before it's implemented. I don't think they're going to do that.
Yeah, maybe. I think it really is about the machines are really a mess. I mean, if you go to any McDonald's, chances are you walk over there to fill up your soda, and that area is a disaster.
That's true.
It is. It's ugly. And it's sticky and it's messy and nobody goes over and cleans it but about once a day. And I go to some restaurants and it's not that way. It's always that way at McDonald's. Always that way. I don't know why. Oh, and by the way, yes, I was reminded that I was talking about Chip and Joanna Gaines.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're nice. I mean, I really enjoy that show. I just, Cabana wife has a thing about she has to have noise on in the house.
Yeah.
She can't, it's like, I like quiet. I just like, I like quiet and solitude at times. And believe it or not, I just like it when it's just quiet, nothing going on. Drives her nuts. So she's always got the TV on. And it's usually, to the Hallmark Channel, and I say, are you watching this? And then, no, just to have something on. But on Saturdays, it's Chip and Joanna Gaines.
And that's okay. You can
That's
handle
that. At least there's something you get involved. What's this house going to look like? And they really do. I mean, it's amazing what they do to those houses, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Have you ever sat down and watched one of the shows?
I've watched them a few times. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and then you learn. You get great ideas. But they're nice. The thing that makes the show work is that he's a goofball, and she adores him even though he's a goofball. They like each other, and she doesn't care that he's a goofball. She just absorbs. She just accepts the fact that he's a goof.
Sounds like a marriage I know.
Yeah, sounds like
I can relate to that.
One very, very close to my own world. I mean, but he's a very talented guy. I mean, he can do anything, and he's got a good idea, here and there. But I love the fact that they have such a, just unabashedly they like each other, even though we all would say that's about one of the goofiest guys I've ever been around. Yeah, goofy in a good way, I suppose. All right, enough of that. Chip and Joanna Gaines. Here we go. Should I do the woke world thing? I don't know. Can we? Let's not wake up the children. The woke world.
You.
Yeah. The woke world children. No, let's not. A former high school teacher who was terminated for refusing to use a student's preferred pronouns has received, are you ready for this, a $360,000 settlement from the Jurupa Unified School District of California. The lawsuit filed in May of 2023 by Advocates for Faith and Freedom stemmed from the dismissal of a gym teacher at the time, Jessica Tapia, who refused to comply with the school district's requirements in 2022. It cited Tapia's religious beliefs as her reason for not using preferred pronouns to cater to students' gender identity. The San Francisco Chronicle reports the school district will allocate $285,000 to Tapia and $75,000 to her legal representatives. Julianne Fleischer, the legal counsel for Advocates for Faith and Freedom, emphasized the significance of the settlement in a statement. Today's settlement serves as a reminder that religious freedom is protected, no matter your career. Jessica's story is one of faithful courage. She fought back to ensure her school district was held accountable and that no other teacher has to succumb to this kind of discrimination. Jacqueline Paul, a spokesperson for the Jurupa Unified School District, said the decision to settle was made in the students' best interest. The settlement is not a win for Ms. Tapia, but is a compromise of a disputed claim. The settlement certainly does not state or prove any illegal action or discrimination by the district. Okay, you take that position, but you're paying out $300,000 and change. We have not admitted any fault or wrongdoing. Then why are you paying money? Well, you hold on to that, okay? We'll see how that works out. Hunter Biden, we get asked all the time, what's going on with Biden and the Biden Inc.? I don't know, the Inc. investigation that seemed to be getting, interestingly close to Joe Biden. And I was very excited about the developments in the case. Somehow we just didn't hear anything more about it. And here's what I'm speculating, but I think it's informed speculation. I think that they said, listen, people are tired of hearing you almost got it. You've almost got it. You almost got it. Come back to us when you got it. And let's move on to some other stuff. I think the investigation is still ongoing into wrongdoing by Joe Biden. But I think that maybe it's this. Maybe that they're holding on to it till they get a little closer to the election. The October surprise. Everybody's going to have one, and we might as well have one of our own. I don't know, is that it or not? But what about Hunter Biden? Yesterday we told you his, I guess it was a couple of days ago, we told you that his gun trial is going to go forward in June. He tried to get it pushed back, but it's going to happen in June. And then there's this. Hunter Biden loses bid to halt tax evasion court proceedings as Ninth Circuit Court dismisses his appeal. Hunter Biden lost his bid to halt his tax evasion district court proceedings in California on Wednesday after the Ninth Circuit Court declined to hear his appeal. District Judge Mark Scarsi denied Biden's motion for a stay of proceedings in the U.S. District Court for the Central District of California pending the outcome of his appeal. The stay has been requested on May 10th after Biden filed his interlocutory appeal to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit. This rendered moot a motion filed by Biden's lawyers on Tuesday asking the judge for an expedited hearing. So Biden, who has argued that the district court's jurisdiction had been divested once he filed his interlocutory appeal, filed his motion for a stay. So that's the end of that. Hunter Biden's problems, the story goes on to say, are entirely of his own making. Special counsel David Weiss, who's prosecuting the case on behalf of the government, opposed Mr. Biden's bid to halt proceedings while waiting to hear the outcome from the Ninth Circuit. So that's going to move forward too as well. This one. From the Daily Wire, report says aides are worried that President Biden will suffer psychological torment from Hunter's standing trial. Aides to President Joe Biden reportedly concerned about the psychological torment that may come with his son Hunter Biden going to trial in the coming months on gun and tax charges. Politico cited unnamed advisors who said members of the first family are fretting about how the weight of Hunter Biden going to trial will affect President Biden in an already difficult time politically. The report also noted how President Biden has expressed fears about the possibility that his son, who is 54, will end up serving time in prison. President Biden worries about Hunter every single day, from the moment he wakes up to the moment he goes to sleep, one of the advisors told Politico. That will only pick up during a trial. Hunter Biden has pleaded not guilty to gun and tax charges in a pair of federal indictments. His gun trial in Delaware, expected to begin on June 3rd. That's just around the corner. After a judge rejected a bid to delay the prosecution, a trial in California for tax charges expected to start on June 20th. Wow. June's going to be a bad month for Hunter Biden. Officials told Politico the White House would not have a war room if the first trial began as planned, but one Biden ally said there could be a response if former President Donald Trump and House Republicans attempted to tie President Biden to attacks on Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden has already been roped into the corruption-focused impeachment inquiry against President Biden, participating in a closed-door deposition in late February to discuss his foreign business dealings. The November election is shaping up to feature a 2020 matchup. You know, of course, that. As President Biden runs for re-election at the age of 81, he is attempting to shrug off questions about his mental and physical health. Repeated gaffes and stumbles have kept the issue in the spotlight. Axios published a report in late February in which Hunter Biden suggested that his fight to remain sober after well-documented struggles with drug abuse is intertwined with the 2024 election. I have something much bigger than myself at stake. We are in the middle of a fight for the future of democracy. Oh, that sounds noble. That sounds very noble, Hunter. Listen, Hunter Biden has been skating all his life. And part of the problem with Hunter Biden is that his parents, I think, are basically enablers of his behavior. I'm sorry, but Hunter Biden has brought on all these problems himself. Very quickly, with time running down, I just want to bring this up again because we've been talking a lot about the plane crash that claimed 3 lives. A doctor from Louisiana, apparently a plastic surgeon, and his 2 adult children who are just set to graduate. What a tragic story that is. And so the National Transportation Safety Board is collecting all the wreckage. And what's unusual about this, and at first it really raised sort of a question in my mind, because this is an unusual thing to have the debris of a plane crash scattered over a large period of space, over a large area. And they're finding it in backyards and in front yards and in grassy knoll areas out there in Williamson County. not far from the Natchez Trace Parkway. So they and I said, well, that's unusual because normally when you have a plane crash, you have a very limited debris field. It's wherever it crashed. Maybe, it crashed and bounced a few times, but I mean, that's where the debris is. This is over a large area, suggesting that the plane apparently broke up in midair. Apparently, just real quick, this particular aircraft has had a history of structural defects and has had a lot of times these planes have broken up in midair. 50 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.